This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. Basil is chewing on some paper. I'm sorry if y'all hear that right now. He is over there eating it down. I'm telling you what. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. We've got a lot to talk about. I found so much information out there. There's so many updates. There's some crazy updates. Actually, I was like, oh my gosh, some things that might change our views on things. So we'll get started with, let's do the sheriff and the judge, because it's not really like that big of an update. So that'll give time for people to get in here, if they aren't in here already. It's good to see you all. Let me get this pulled up and then I will share it with you guys. Sorry, I had to figure out. I got a couple pulled up.
Did you know there's an easy way to get more views on your
Flora? I will, Eek. That's crazy. Yeah, it's weird to me that there's so many kids missing in Virginia and Quantico's right
old
there.
YouTube videos. And the best part is it's free to try. Meet vidIQ.
This is the town of Whitesburg.
It seems like I just feel like the FBI could find some of these kids. It's weird to me that they can find all of these other things, but when it comes to a missing child, they can't find them. Like the way with all the technology we have in the world today, but they can't find these kids. I heard of one that went missing and like had her laptop with her. It was weird. I was like, and you still took like 4 years to find her? What the crap? Thank you, Thank you, Jenny, for saying that. I'm going to go ahead and get that banner up. Thank you so much. And we will watch this. This is from Court TV. Sounds like it's probably Vinnie Politan Investigates. I will link it in the description below. It is a quick update on the sheriff and the judge.
In Letcher County, Kentucky. It's a place where folks get to know each other because there just aren't a ton of people living here. Even smaller is the local criminal justice community where everyone knows everyone. That's why no one suspected anything violent or dangerous was going to happen when the local judge, Kevin Mullins, and the local sheriff, Mickey Steins, had a closed-door private meeting inside the judge's chambers. But what happened next shook this small town to its core. The sheriff.
Joy, I do too. I don't watch him all the time. Let me make sure that's what this is real quick. But I don't watch him all the time, but he gets the updates that I'm not able to get. So it just says Court TV, sheriff's daughter contact info not saved in judge's phone. Spoiler alert. So this is Court TV. If you have not subscribed to them, please do so. And I will link this video in the description box below. Thank you all for being here.
Shooting and killing the judge. All of it recorded on video. Sheriff Mickey Steins is now charged with first-degree murder, and everyone is still asking the one big question. Why? Tonight, new information connected to the judge's phone, which the sheriff called his daughter from just before opening fire. What does this new information reveal about the judge and the sheriff?
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This story, it's one big question.
Okay, so it's Closing Arguments by Court TV.
It's one huge question that has not been answered yet. I'm talking about the judge and the sheriff in Kentucky. Why was he killed? Why was the judge killed? Hunted. Shot multiple times from 3 different places as the judge was hiding for cover in all of this.
Flora, I know where you're talking about. I heard about the Suzanne Simpson thing yesterday. That's crazy. For those of you that don't know, if I'm correct, the mom and dad were fighting and the kids heard them, and then they went in the woods, and then they heard the mom screaming, and she's not been seen since. And they're searching the landfills was the last that I heard on that. But that's crazy.
There is no doubt when you watch the video that it's clear that the sheriff wanted the judge dead. He's about to exit the chambers and sees the judge is still crawling. So he goes back to fire his gun again. So from the beginning, there have been stories, there have been rumors, there's been a lot, there have been descriptions of this video before the video even came out. But the one thing that's sort of in the center of all of it is the phone. The phone. Is the answer to that question connected to his phone? And when I say his phone, I mean the judge's phone.
I think so. Y'all can let me know what you think in the comment section, or in the comment section if you're watching it on replay, or in the chat. But I really do think it's connected to the phone. And if you can see right here, the phone is ringing when this happens. They zoomed in on that and found out that it was ringing while this was all going on. I really think it has to do with the phone.
The phone you're looking at right here that was on the judge's desk.
Oh, really, Flora?
Does that reveal the answer to that question? Now, I would think that the sheriff himself could answer that question, I think. But he's not going to tell prosecutors. I don't think he's going to tell prosecutors. But it seems that is the focal point, because the sheriff is calling his daughter from that phone. Two phones.
That's the sheriff's wife, not his daughter, in that picture.
Calls from his own phone, gets the judge's phone, and calls his daughter from the judge's phone. And then it's after that that the phone is put on the desk. The sheriff stands up. He confronts the judge. He draws his weapon, and he hunts down and kills the judge inside the chambers. That's the way this played out.
It wouldn't surprise me, Joey.
Now, we have not seen the video preceding the confrontation. It exists. Prosecutors didn't want to show it in court, didn't want the defense to ask questions about it, perhaps didn't want the public to see it. I'm not sure. They didn't need it for that hearing, so they didn't show it, but it exists. And it's a big part of the story. Like, what led up to the sheriff standing up and pulling his gun out?
I think so, Flora and Eek. I agree.
We don't know. We had a little bit of testimony, and it was on cross-examination, not direct, when Clayton Stamper, the detective from the Kentucky State Police, who knew as little as he possibly could know about the case before testifying. He's the case agent. He's like the lead investigator that's going to put together and coordinate all the pieces of this case. But at the same time,
I think he did that because he's investigating the case. And if you don't know much about the case, then when you testify on the stand and you really haven't been briefed, then you're not lying. I think he did that so he couldn't get in trouble later for lying on the stand, because they're asking him to testify about a case that he's currently investigating. So the least amount that you know about it, the better, if you know you're going to have to testify, because it's your case that you're that you're still investigating. So you really don't want to be giving out all the information that you found out so far.
Point that he was testifying in court, knew very little, just what, I think someone told me this, someone told me that. Very, very, very limited. But here he is talking about the sheriff using the judge's phone. Take a close listen to the exact words that are used in the question and in the answer.
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
So, have you obtained the phone records from Judge Mullins' phone?
I don't have those in my possession yet, no.
Okay. Have you issued a search warrant for them?
Yes.
Okay. And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes, I believe so,
So
yes.
that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How do you interpret that? What does that mean to you? Like, when someone says your number is in my phone, I interpret that very simply. Like, if your number's in my phone, that means you're in my contacts, right?
If we think about this, okay, the sheriff called his daughter from the judge's phone and then shot the judge. Like, there's not much of a conclusion you could come to other than something was going on between the judge and the daughter. Like, that's the only logical conclusion to make from that. Common sense. So I really want to know what he is going to say, what his testimony is going to be about it, what his defense is going to be. Basil, you cannot chew my laptop. Stop it.
Because I've called you before, I may call you again. You know, I made you one of my contacts. I'm going to call you because your number's in my phone. And I think that's the way all
Right,
of us
Laura?
interpreted that. And then everyone's like, ooh, why would a teenage girl, the sheriff's daughter's phone number, be in the judge's phone? He's a grown man. Why would he have the sheriff's teenage daughter's number in his phone? It was creepy, and the rumors locally all over the place. You know what you're thinking when you put those facts together. And then you hear what the defense is saying. The defense attorney spoke to People magazine and talked about this was a heat of passion case. Heat of passion, extreme emotional disturbance. It wasn't.
So that's going to be his defense, that it was in the heat of passion, and he could get sentenced to less time for that. However, when you take into account he's the sheriff and therefore supposed to be level-headed and not supposed to be doing things like that, that might work against him. And this was a beloved judge. So I still don't see him getting like the least amount of time allotted for a crime of passion type of thing. And again, if we're going with a crime of passion type of thing, it's got to be that something was going on between the judge and a family member. And if he called the daughter right before he did that, then that would make me think it was the daughter.
Wasn't planned. Okay,
17,
I put those pieces together.
17.
The sheriff's teenage daughter's phone number's in the judge's phone. He's got the judge's phone. He's calling his daughter. Heat of passion, emotional disturbance. You can put two and two together, right? Not so fast. Sometimes 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4.
Most of the time it does, though. Good morning, the Astro from space. Good to see you. Thank you for being here.
The Mountain Eagle Report, one of the local papers out there, digging in on this case. Take a look at what they are reporting on this exact issue. Let's put it up there.
Look how excited he is. Did you see how he is into this?
There. 2 law enforcement sources have confirmed that former Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins did not select his daughter's number from a pre-saved list on District Judge Kevin Mullins' phone when he called her just prior to killing the judge. Both say Steins dialed the number before he shot Mullins multiple times in the judge's chambers behind the Letcher District Courtroom.
Okay, so let's take that into account. Okay, so if she was not saved in his phone, in his contacts, then that means that it probably wasn't some type of picture that was saved as the contact info. But when you put a number, when you enter a phone number into a phone, it's going to pull up all the times you've called that number, all the times that number has called you, and text messages. So it still doesn't mean that necessarily it had nothing to do with that. Did he enter the phone and see some text messages, see how much they've been calling each other? I think that's a good possibility.
again, I think now I'm reading this, right? I'm reading this to say, okay, did not select his daughter's number from a pre-saved list. So the daughter's phone number wasn't in the judge's phone. It was just there when investigators got it because the sheriff had dialed it from the phone. Is that what they mean happened here? Because if so, then that's a big nothing. Like that doesn't insinuate anything connecting the judge and the sheriff's daughter. Strange.
Unless, like I just said, he saw text messages and how much they've been calling each other, because that does come up when you enter a phone number.
Strange. What does this mean? I need help. Well, you know that. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy. Also with us, criminal defense investigator Charles Middlestat, and the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers and former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Great to see everyone tonight. Eklund, all of a sudden, this is a completely different interpretation, but he's still dialing his daughter just before standing up, drawing his weapon, and shooting the judge. But it doesn't look like, unless I'm misinterpreting the Mountain Eagle, I mean, it's possible, but I don't think I am, the daughter's number isn't actually saved in the judge's phone.
I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a prosecutor, never been, right? But I think that it actually kind of
that's another
goes
great
to
theory.
premeditation. I think that he was actually going to set the judge up by calling his daughter, by being a member of law enforcement, and then calling the daughter from that phone. You're essentially kind of just setting up for voluntary manslaughter. And I think that that's it. It looks like that. I think that it was.
You think he's covering his tracks? Okay, that's a fair interpretation. Charles Middlestat, how are you looking at this?
I agree with her. That's very possible.
What is the connection here of this phone?
So I understand the initial sort of significance to the actual presence of the daughter's contact being in there, or her number even appearing on the call history. But honestly, I don't think it changes anything in the absence thereof, because depending upon how she responds to a call from the judge's phone, that may be is revealing, if not more revealing, as to the nature of a potential relationship between the two of them in the absence of her number even being in the contact. If the sheriff makes a call from the...
Me and this guy are thinking alike. I was thinking when I first heard this story, I don't know, I remember having ringback tones, and it was like when you called somebody, it would play a song for you to listen to, and that person could pick a song just for you to listen to. Could you imagine if we still had that and it did some kind of ringback song? It did the ringback song and what the song would have been and all kinds of shit. That thought hit my mind, but I don't think they do that anymore. Those ringback tones we used to have back in the day.
From the judge's phone, and his daughter says, "Hey, sweetie," or whatever that the answer may have been, however she may have received that call, that can be as revealing, if not more revealing, than the presence of her number being saved as a contact itself. So I don't necessarily, it doesn't change for me the likelihood that there is some direct correlation between the judge and his daughter, and some sort of insinuation that there might have been some sort of relationship there that he was uncomfortable with. Something.
Right. And like he said, if he called him and then the daughter picked up and was like, "Hey, baby," then yeah, that would make, if I was her father and she's 17, I might feel the same way that the sheriff did. And another thing, if they were having some kind of relationship and the judge is married, or anybody that's married, you wouldn't save the person you're having a relationship with in your phone, because you wouldn't want your wife to see it. So it makes sense again that she wouldn't be saved in the phone as a contact. But when you enter the number that you know by heart, it would pull up all the stuff.
Thing there that was the trigger for what ultimately became a very heinous murder. And that is, I think, that would be sort of responsive to the defense's contention that this was a heat of passion crime, that this was an emotional disturbance in the moment, and would be consistent with being triggered on that level by something very, very disturbing, like learning something like that.
Now, I'm going to read again from the Mountain Eagle report. A defense attorney for Steins asked during a preliminary hearing last week if the daughter's number was on the phone, a question to which the detective replied yes. While many have interpreted that to mean the number was saved, two separate law enforcement officials with knowledge of what happened said that that's not the case. One who asked not to be identified said a security video taken from a camera mounted behind Steins near the ceiling shows Steins punched in the numbers to dial. The other Kentucky State Police spokesman, Trooper Matt Gayhart, confirmed the number was dialed and said he knew when the question was asked in the way that it was that the answer would be misinterpreted. This kind of got taken out of context. Mickey had dialed his daughter's number from the judge's phone. It wasn't in there already as far as we know from the preliminary examination we got to do. Mickey dialed the number. But there's more, Nima Rahmani. As you take a look at the video of the shooting, that phone is on the desk. And as you zoom in on the phone,
right here, it's ringing. Why?
You'll see
calling back.
That something happens. Someone is calling the phone. It just lit up. Watch, it'll light up. This is after the second set of shots are fired, which is just perhaps seconds after it was called.
And if you look, that looks like a number, not a name. Because right here's the first 3 digits, then there's the next 3 right here, and then there's the last 4 right there. That's a number, not a contact. And again, if she's not saved in the phone as a contact and just under a number, then that's probably her calling back.
The phone lights up. I want to know who's calling, Nima, because to me, did the sheriff connect with his daughter on the judge's phone? Did he leave a message? Did he just hang up? Did the daughter call back? To me, that could answer that question why, which still has not been answered.
Well, it could have been in the phone is everything, but obviously there's a lot more than the phone. These two went to lunch right before the shooting. Apparently, the judge says, do you want to have a private conversation in our chambers? The phone calls happen. And like you said, what's the issue with?
So again, with them talking about them going to lunch and then him saying, do you want to have a private conversation in my chambers? It's obviously a conversation they don't want to have in front of other people. So basically, I think what happened was the sheriff confronted the judge with something at lunch, and he said it in a way, in some type of code, that the judge would know what he was talking about, and said, we need to talk about this in private. So come see me in my chambers. Well, what did he say in the chambers? Like, yeah, everything you asked me, all your speculations are correct. What are you going to do about it? Something to that effect would be my guess, my speculation.
With the phone is, and we know when Steins is arrested, he reportedly says they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter. So that's what's being reported. So there's clearly something going on with Steins and his family, and he thinks the judge is involved. Now, is this just defense attorney posturing to set up a manslaughter defense because it's the only defense in the case? Because there's certainly no self-defense.
I would not rule out a mental disease or defect potentially if in his mind he believes there is some plot to kidnap his family, and he thinks the judge is somehow leading all of this and going through some mental breakdown, but we don't have evidence of that.
That's not going to work in court because he is mentally stable enough to be sheriff of the town for however many years. He was bailiff. He's kept a job. That mental defect is not going to work in court. Crime of passion could, and if you're going to use I thought they were going to kidnap my wife and daughter, that's again, and I shot them because of that. That would again, I would think technically be a crime of passion, not a mental defect.
So that, but I think that's still on the table. But you mentioned lunchtime.
Extenuating circumstances.
Nima, I'm glad you did. Here's the detective talking about some text messages that were discussed at lunch.
There was one other phone that's currently being examined, and the basic reason it was seized was there was a text conversation between Sheriff Steins and some of his employees with the sheriff's office.
Okay, and that was an additional phone of Sheriff Steins.
It was a phone of, I guess she's the, I don't know what her title is, but she's employed. She's not sworn. She's employed by the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. And she voluntarily gave her phone to the person that interviewed her.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, what, could you explain why that was relevant or germane to your investigation?
I didn't conduct that interview, but it was, I guess it was regarding the dinner at Streetside and things that led up to the shooting. But
That's a good thought. That's a good question, Flora. That's a great question. I'm not sure.
I don't have those results either, so I don't know exactly what was said.
Eklund, I started saying 2 + 2 = 4. This is getting much more complicated. We're doing beyond algebra. I think we're into like calculus at this point. What this conversation, so there's a text chain between the sheriff and people from his office that prosecutors now have that was a text conversation about what happened at lunch. And the woman who works for him, who had it on her phone, thought it was important enough that she volunteered to give it to investigators. There's something, I don't know what this could be. I just don't know at this point.
Thank you, Trixie. Thank you for listening in.
The issue is that unfortunately everybody's biased. If this was anybody else, if it was not a sheriff, he would have already been pleading because we have videotape. But the problem is we do have law enforcement who is the defense, who is the defendant. And we do have sympathetic people who worked with him, who know his family, who knows what's going on. So it's going to be hard. The simple fact that we don't know about the text messages, if it was going to a daughter or something like that, if it was anybody else, we'd have had the text messages. We'd have already had what time it came in and all of this. But because we have law enforcement as a defendant, it seems like everything is stalled. And suddenly we understand what probable cause is, and reasonable suspicion, and all these other things. But we now is, let's just investigate, make sure we have 100%. So I think that with regards to this, it's being prolonged because of who the defendant actually
Gotcha.
is.
All right.
I agree with her.
Wow, what a case. All right,
Okay. So now we're going to pull up what I have on the pedo running Madeline Soto's Reddit. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Let me get that pulled up for y'all. Oh, let me go ahead and drop my StreamYard link if anybody wants to come up. So what I'm going to talk about now is there is a subreddit on Reddit that is where like you can talk about Madeline Soto and the things that happened to her and like remember her and just like post poems and things like that and your speculations and things that happened and all of that. And there was a moderator for this subreddit, for this basically conversation chain. And this moderator, they found out was basically a pedophile. He had a bunch of like pictures and things like that he got charged with. And we're gonna see that. I've pulled what I can on it. The account has since been deleted. But I did get some screenshots of some things that I found. I hope they don't remain blurry. I tried to blow stuff up as much as I could so we could kind of see it, but it is kind of blurry, but I will read it to you. I put this short video together for us right now, but I'll put it out. I'll put a video out later today, like explaining what it is. So we'll watch this. It has no music or anything. I just put it together for us to talk about. So Oh, by the way, when I have this up, I'm not going to be able to see you guys. Good morning, Abellis. Hi. Yeah, Reddit is full of pedos. So this is the moderator. This is the guy who was modding at the main sub for Madeline Soto and is guilty of crimes YouTube channel. His name is Benjamin Scott Thrells, and he's a registered sex offender. His crime was to possess or control obscene matter depicting minor sexual conduct. Excuse me. He lives in California. He also attempted to distribute harmful matter depicting minor sent to minor via the internet or email. So that means he basically tried to send child porn to a child. And that's what he looks like. We're going to look at some of the things he was posting and saying. It's crazy. I got it too long. Hold on, it'll change in just a second. Hi, Norma. Good morning. Good morning, Norma. Good morning. I don't know why it's holding out on this one so long. Let me see. Okay. So this is a close-up, like a mugshot, and it tells us his name. That's another picture of him, and it says, if you believe a crime has been committed, please contact your local law enforcement agency. So basically, this mug was like a moderator, and he was fussing at Strategic Eyes and like shutting him down every time Strategic Eyes would post on this subreddit in reference to Madeline Soto. This again is his crime, and it is to possess or control obscene matter depicting a minor in sexual conduct. You can gather what that is from what I just read. And also attempted to distribute harmful matter depicting a minor sent to a minor via the internet or email. So he had child pornography, and he was sending child pornography to a child. And he's running the Madeline Soto subreddit. It says, in these deleted Reddit comments, H Ghost, which was his handle, contemplates sharing a poem he wrote from the perspective of Maddie. Hold on a minute. It's hard for me to see it on here. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick. I don't know why it's so blurry. So I can read it to you guys. Hold on just a minute. Okay. So it says at the top right here, it says, Madeline, just wanted to share a little more about who Maddie was by H Ghost. That blue right there says H Ghost in the subreddit Madeline Soto, which had 11,400 people in this like subreddit group. And then it says show comments in context. The context and full comment links below can show this comment in its threads context. And the poem says, I will be working on more. I have a letter to Tyler and Tatiana in the POV of Maddie in heaven, debating on posting as well. My fear is people can't play nice on here. I guess if they don't, they can go somewhere else, and there's a green heart at the end. Right here it says he seems to understand that it won't be received well, but probes anyway. And then this part over here says manliest manham, right here in blue, and it says 10 points. And then right here it says, I think it would be an overstep to write from the first person perspective of a dead child and direct it at their family members. H Ghost right here in blue says, true, I scrapped the idea. And then Lazy Education 1968 right here says, thank God. It says, it is only when another Redditor steps in that he decides not to share. Okay, and then this is a close-up of that. We just read that, so I'll skip ahead a little bit. Okay, this is Benjamin Scott Threll's Flickr account. And it says these, well, we're going to see, yep, there's the zoom in. So here's the members of the Flickr group. And it says these are groups that he is a member of. And it gives us names and things of that group. The picture on here is what is concerning. And I'll show you the close-up that I tried to get of that. So this is his Flickr account, and he's called Princess. And there's a picture of a young child, and it says this group is for members only. This group discussion is for members only. And it says this group is particularly concerning because who's he talking to in this group and made it members only? And what are they talking about? Are they talking about obscene things? Is there a bunch of kids in here? I can't see your comments right now, so I'm reading this. I'll check in just a second. These are some of Benjamin Scott Threll's works of art that he had on Flickr. He made artwork of Maddie in this style and posted it to the Madeline Soto subreddit. Now you can see that, but I tried to like cut them out and kind of zoom in on them the best I could. So this is going to play and we're going to look at these and we can talk about it. So there's one blown up, and you can see how this one is probably Maddie on the left-hand side. And then on the right, it's her with that black cat. This appears to be somebody holding a knife or something. And then like a little girl scared kind of in the corner. It's weird. Yeah. His art does suck, eek. And it is creepy. This is the little girl, I guess, in the corner, and it's got color to it. And then here's another picture of somebody he drew. Yeah, I don't know. My daughter, that's like 10, could draw better than this. This appears to be a mother helping a child, and then a kid on a bike, but like the head is always cut off. It never shows the head. Very weird pictures. And he was posting them in the Madeline subreddit. This is a kid like eating ice cream or something, or some kind of snow cone. And then this is a ticket, a movie ticket to something with Sour Patch Kids and some sunglasses. That's an actual picture. Like, I'm concerned about him going to the movie theater and being around kids. I'm sure it was to go see a child's movie. This is a little boy on a dinosaur. And like the dinosaur is coming over the pant leg here. I don't. This one's weird. I'm going to pause it. This is a little girl in like Joker face. I don't know what this one is, but this appears to be a hand in front of a face. This is a little boy walking away from a girl dressed up as a superhero. This is an actual photo of like a slushie. This is a photo of Men at Work sign, but I don't know what it says right there. I think this might be a cat or something. This is a mom, it looks like, and a little boy holding hands. And these are really scary pictures of people with blonde hair and big lips. I don't know. I'm just showing you what I found. It is very creepy. Oh, hold on. Somebody said something. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of these creeps on Reddit. So this, I don't know. It appears to be a man without a shirt walking. This appears to be somebody with their hands behind their back and something on their head, possibly a bird or something. This is Spider-Man. This is a boy just looking. This appears to be a man or something with a mustache, or like a child with an open mouth that's like screaming with a dog or cat on their shoulder. I don't know. This is a kid in face paint of a lion. This is a girl with blonde hair, I'm assuming to be Maddie. Another kid in face paint. This is a picture of him, and this is a picture of what looks like a young boy. It's creepy. It's really creepy. This man is insane. I didn't want to do like a whole thing about it because he's just like was running the subreddit, but it's still scary that he was running poor Madeline subreddit, like the biggest group on there to talk about Madeline and what happened. So this is a boy or a young man with a bow tie. This is a girl with those them arms, I got them for my kids one year at Christmas. Them like Hulk hands, and they're soft and you can punch each other with it. This is a drawing of a man looking off into the distance. This is a woman with like the superhero face mask thing. This is a young girl with brown hair and a bucket style hat. It looks like it could possibly be a depiction of Maddie. And these are sketches. This is a sketch of a girl wearing sunglasses. This is a sketch of a girl holding her head. This, I'm not sure. It's hard for me to tell these. This could be a mom holding a baby right here. I have no idea what that one is. This looks like it's somebody running. And then that's, again, another girl drawn with long hair. I'm assuming that some of these are supposed to be Maddie. It's all very creepy. It's hard to zoom in on it because, like, when I blow it up, it makes it blurry, but I tried. These are selfies taken from H Ghost Reddit account before he deleted it. His account was very active, and its activities spanned over 11 years at the time of its deletion. And he was on there all the time, kind of like Stephen Stearns. And we're going to get some close-ups of this scary monster right here. Like, he was talking crap to Strategic Eyes in there. Here he is. That's this monster right here, up close and personal. Sorry, I had kids. Yeah, these are just close-ups of this creepy guy. What irritates me is that he was talking crap to Strategic Eyes about posting in the subreddit about Madeline when Strategic Eyes is he is an officer that worked the sex crime unit. Like, look at that. That's just ugh. Why? Stop it. Stop it right now. Get some help. In the words of Shaq. And then this is what she said, and I'll read it to you guys. So this is from Baby Ghoul 666. H Ghost is a pedophile. As many of you are already aware, yesterday we uncovered the true identity of the very problematic head mod over at the subreddit for Madeline Soto. His name is Benjamin Thrells, and he is a registered SMEX offender from California with a CSAM conviction. There is a lot still going on behind the scenes, and we are still digging into things, but I want to assure you that he has been reported to multiple different law enforcement agencies and all the necessary tip lines concerning this issue. I am doing what I can to protect our community here from H Ghost and other bad actors, so there's going to be a few changes to keep us safe here. I will update you with any sub changes as they happen. If you are a minor in any of the Madeline Soto communities, including Facebook, he infiltrated those groups as well, that has been in contact with H Ghost, please immediately cut off contact with him. Please know that you did nothing wrong. Feel free to reach out to me with any details you think could be important to share, and I can guide you through making a report against him if that's needed. He is not allowed to be contacting minors as a registered SMEX offender. I highly recommend y'all head over to a different Madeline Soto group as well. The users and mods from that subreddit have been active in investigating this. Truly amazing people I've been working on this with. And there's one more comment from her I'll read to you guys. This was all I could find on it because, like she stated, he deleted his account. The original Madeline Soto subreddit is still locked, and they are still ignoring the pedo elephant in the room. The Jen Soto is guilty AF subreddit is run by the same mods as the copycat Madeline Soto evidence, H Ghost, and those protecting H Ghost. I recommend you proceed with caution if you will be participating in these subs until things change. I am heartbroken that Madeline was allowed to be exploited even after her death. I am angry for a variety of reasons concerning this issue. I will share any update we get with you all here, and please use the post to discuss H Ghost and the situation. Reach out if you have any concerns, and remember to listen to your guts when it tells you something is off about a person. Keep digging until you find out the truth. And I think there's one more screenshot I got of the conversation. Sorry if you guys have been talking. I can't see it when I'm on this page. It says, and don't forget the reason we are all here is as this continues to unfold. Justice for Maddie. Let's not let all the drama that's been happening with mods, YouTubers, etc. overshadow the girl we're fighting for while we expose this piece of shit. She was re-victimized by the situation. Let's do all we can to prevent this from happening again. And then Pocho Hug says, if he's not to be using the internet as a result of his charges, hopefully law enforcement can access all of his post mod chats and private chats across multiple platforms. Deleted or not, he can't hide anything. And I genuinely hope that the police are able to get all that information. I think this is the last one. Yep. I hope that the police are able to get all that information and get him taken care of and off of the subreddit, because he victimized Maddie yet again. Good morning, Baron Marshmallow. Welcome. You said he went there and said the DA called him directly to tell him Maddie was not. Oh, goodness. No, that he was lying. They can't release details like that. Wow, what a piece of shit. Okay, Flora. Yeah, I saw this on Strategic Eyes, and that's what made me look into it. My wonderful chat had told me about the situation, and I was able to look into it yesterday while I was running errands. Abella says, yep, he's full of crap. Got to be careful who you communicate with. That's right, Jenny. Eek says, who the F would a DA call? Why the F would a DA call a Reddit mod? Like, really? Honestly. I've almost given up social media at times because I can't take it anymore. Flora, I don't get on Facebook or anything anymore. Good morning, Solistic Glow. Good to see you. Good morning. The internet, Abella says the internet can be so great, but unfortunately it's given these freaks an ability to communicate. Yep, it sure has. And it's sad that poor Madeline was re-victimized again by this monster on a subreddit talking about her and what happened to her. Like, what? I don't understand how he was even allowed to be on Reddit, but we got to think about Stephen Stearns being on Reddit too, and all of the things that he did on Reddit, posting in teen kid forums and things. Like, I'm wondering if that guy did the same thing. And if the police are going to find it and if he's going to be charged with it. Because again, if you get a charge of like child sex material and all that, then you're not supposed to be on the internet. I would think you were definitely not allowed at a place like so I was saying Solistic because Abella said hi Solistic. A place like Reddit, you know. Jeannie says, good morning, Bear. Welcome. Bear and Marshmallow Incorporated. That's a cool name. They would never call a Reddit mod. I feel like he was pretending to be a family member. Not sure. The whole thing is shocking. It really is. It really is. It really is. Speaking of shocking, we have got some stuff to talk about with the Delphi situation and Richard Allen. The defense dropped a bombshell while they were doing jury selection. I think this is going to give us a brief history of the situation. If not, I will give you guys a brief history of the situation. But we're going to see what they said about the Richard Allen case. And then we will see what Leilani's boyfriend has said about what happened to poor baby Quentin Simon. Aw, I bet your puppies are adorable. Abella says hi, Solistic. Jenny says hi, Solistic. All right, so we'll watch this.
The man accused of killing 2 teen girls, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, in the woods of Delphi more than 7 years ago, is on trial. The jury has been selected, and shocking new evidence alleged by the defense has already been revealed in court. We are live from the trial of Richard Allen. Good evening and welcome to Closing Arguments. I'm Jill.
This is going to be Closing Arguments again from Court TV. They won't let cameras or anything into this courtroom. I feel like Richard Allen's not going to get a fair trial. That's just my opinion, though.
Leah Janae filling in for Vinnie Politan tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. We have a lot to get to.
Flora, my husband was born in Arkansas, and he wants to go back there. I went there with him once to visit his family. I like it. I'd like to get a house in the mountains, either there or in North Carolina where I live at. I love the mountains.
We have a lot of big cases and trials that we've been covering here on Court TV. Some are beginning and others are nearing their conclusion. And we're starting this hour with a true crime case that's really one of the biggest cases that we've covered here at Court TV. It's a cold case that turned into a, at times, controversial prosecution, the trial of Richard Allen. He's the man who's accused of killing 2 teenage girls in Indiana, Abigail Williams and Liberty German. And this all happened back in 2017. Even though their bodies were discovered just a day after they went missing, it was 5 years before this case saw an arrest. And this lack of a resolution sparked a persistent element in this case. That's the public distrust. Because since the beginning, many issues have been raised about this investigation, about management of this case, interviews that were deleted, sketches that were kept from the public, attorneys being forced off of the case, complaints being raised by the public.
There's a lot in this case that is fishy. And I really hope, regardless of whether he's guilty or innocent, everyone deserves a fair trial, regardless. And I really hope that Richard Allen gets a fair trial. They're trying to, well, you'll see. Oh, I paused it. Sorry, guys.
And Allen's defense team. Both of those entities demanded transparency in this case. And then in an explosive announcement, the defense for Richard Allen revealed their theory of the case, one that only seemed to pour gasoline on the burning fire of public skepticism. Not only was Richard Allen not the killer, the defense claimed, they said that members of a ritualistic Odinist cult were responsible. Now, months before this trial, Judge Fran Gull made a series of rulings that only seemed to exacerbate this distrust, and that included a motion that prohibited the defense from presenting that cult theory evidence to a jury.
I absolutely love the mountains. I would love to just have a wraparound porch and sip my coffee in the morning looking out over the mountains. Thank you, Abellis, for gifting memberships. If you guys got a membership from her, please tell her thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, and welcome to Speculation Station. I need to get an audio clip for that. I'm going to work on that today. Thank you so much, Abellis. That was so nice of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So no mention of Odinism, no talk of ritualistic sacrifices. This was to the dismay of those defense attorneys. Judge Gull also outlawed electronics in the courtroom. So not only are no cameras allowed in the courtroom, at times we're used to that, but Judge Gull also prohibited any use of audio recording devices or even phones or laptops. It's almost like it's inside of a federal courthouse, because this means that the reporters inside of this state courtroom must take notes the old-fashioned way, with a pen and paper. So we're faced with this problem. How will we know what's going on inside of this courtroom in Indiana? Well, Court TV senior producer Barbara McDonald is here. She's there in Indiana joining us live. She's been inside of the courtroom all day for day 2 of jury selection, taking those handwritten notes. So Barbara, you are our next.
That's concerning to me. Like, why they won't let you even have like some kind of electronic recording device. I don't understand how like the jury being able to take notes other than handwritten is going to jeopardize the validity or the case at all. There's a lot of weird things going on in this trial. And like I said, regardless of whether he's guilty or innocent, he deserves a fair trial, just like all of us do. I hope he gets it.
Next best thing in this situation. Set the scene for me. Tell me about what it was like today and what major moments have stood out to you.
Well, we do have a jury. A jury is seated. We have 12 jurors and 4 alternates. Tomorrow, court is going to be dark, and they'll be back on Thursday to be sworn in front of Richard Allen. But as you mentioned, we are writing notes by hand, and one of the things that's been really interesting to see is how the media and even some of the podcasters are working together to compare notes. And did you hear that? And is that what they said? And did they say 4? Did they say 2? And making sure that we get it right so that we can share the most accurate information with the public, since we don't have any way of recording it and rewinding it if we have a question about something that somebody said. But again, 12 jurors selected, 4 alternates, and we did get to hear some mini opening statements.
This is going to be important, the opening statements. And I'm glad to hear that there's podcasters and everybody from the press and YouTubers and all that are working together to make sure we have accurate notes and accurate information coming out.
The last 2 days from both the prosecution and the defense in this case. They asked for that privilege from the judge. She granted that. And so they each got 5 minutes yesterday and 5 minutes today to talk to the jury about what this case is about for them. And one of the most explosive things that we heard during that mini opening statement from the defense today, Andrew Baldwin said in open court to those potential jurors that a hair, or rather hair, found in Abby Williams' hand does not match Richard Allen. Now, he didn't elaborate on that point at all. I imagine
so let's think about that. We got to think about that these 2 babies were unfortunately murdered. But while this is happening, she grabbed somebody's head and pulled hair out of their head. And the hair doesn't match Richard Allen, who they say did it. So that's the case right there, in my opinion. I mean, the hair doesn't match. Just like with O.J. Simpson, the glove doesn't fit. Maybe that's a bad comparison because he's probably guilty. But still, if the hair is not matching Richard Allen, who did it? Or was there somebody else there? That's a pretty damning piece of evidence to the prosecution, and it's good for Richard Allen and his defense attorneys.
And we're going to be hearing a lot about that at trial, but hair that was found in her hand does not match Richard Allen. They didn't say if they know who it does match, or if that is an unanswered question in this case. Now, another thing that the defense said, and they talked with the jury.
Normally, I would say we're going to find out who that hair belongs to, but in this case, who knows if they even tested it? Like they're set and determined that Richard Allen did it. It's to a point that I have to question, like I said, if he's even going to get a fair trial.
Quite a bit about is that they are going to be going after, respectfully but aggressively, after the police investigation, which they feel was not complete. They feel that it wasn't fair to all of the people that they looked at, that there were many people, according to the defense, that should.
There's another really important piece to this too that we found out.
Could have been investigated further, but for some reason, law enforcement cleared them or moved on to other people. We're going to be hearing more about that once we get to trial. The prosecutor, though, said that we're going to be hearing a lot about those confessions, the 60.
So that's weird. If you've got people of interest, why are you not investigating every single avenue?
Plus confessions that Richard Allen allegedly made while he was incarcerated in a maximum security prison. The prosecutor called those unsolicited and unprovoked admissions. Now, the defense has been telling us for a while that they are.
Joy, you'll get a little bit of this, but basically 2 girls went on a walk at like a nature preserve and they were murdered. And it took them several years to figure out who did it. And there's a lot of ties to a person who was distributing CSA material called Keegan Klein and his father. You'll get a little bit from this, but there's no way I could recap this whole entire case. I'll try to do my best, and they might talk about it a little bit, but you might want to look into it if you're interested. Because there's a lot of information out on it. It'd take hours for me to go through the whole case, though. It's a big case.
are basically the rantings of a crazy person, that he was psychotic at the time, he was experiencing delusions, and that was why he made these admissions. And to give an example of one of those, Andrew Baldwin said in his mini opening statement today that Richard Allen confessed to killing his grandchildren and his entire family. But of course, Richard Allen does not have grandchildren, and his family wasn't killed. So the defense is going to be arguing.
So if we take that into account, then is he guilty in trying to give all these false confessions to play insanity?
That there's false information there, that there is information that is absolutely not accurate and relevant to this case. The prosecution, of course, says those are the admissions of somebody who wanted to clear his conscience. So we're going to be getting a lot more information about that when we get to trial, Julia.
Barbara, that's a lot of huge information for day two of jury selection. We haven't even gotten to opening statements in this case. I love hearing that the journalists are working together because it can be daunting trying to transcribe things and know exactly what was said. So I've seen that happen inside of courtrooms, and that's great to hear that it's happening in this situation. That's really unlikely and not ideal for people who are covering this case. The strand of hair, that's huge information, but I understand there was a motion in limine filed by the state earlier today that was big. Break that down for us and how that could impact things going forward.
Yes, so people who have been following this case are very familiar with the two sketches in the case. There is the first sketch that was released in 2017 of.
Okay, so this one on the left is the first sketch of the suspect that was released in 2017. And then they released this one later that appears to depict a much younger person, and it actually kind of resembles Keegan Kline, in my opinion.
Of the older man on the left of your screen wearing the cap. He's got some facial hair and a hoodie. That was the first sketch released, and that was plastered everywhere. Law enforcement took that to Dr. Phil, to the Megyn Kelly show, to CrimeCon. It was on posters and billboards. And then in 2019, in April of 2019, we got the New Direction press conference. And the sketch on the right of your screen was released at that time. There was a lot of confusion from law enforcement at the time what the message was. Are these two people that are being looked at? Is it one person? Is the older sketch no longer relevant? And eventually they told us that the younger sketch was who they were looking for, that they believed he could have been as young as 18 years old at the time that the crime.
A lot of people are wondering that, Joy. A lot of people are wondering if Richard Allen even did this. This picture of this man walking is taken from the victim's cell phone. And she got the picture of the man approaching them before he did what he did to them. And they are two totally different people. Wait till you hear what the motion is. It's mind-blowing.
Crime happened, and one of the witnesses allegedly described him as having a youthful appearance, which is depicted in that sketch. Well, now the state is saying they don't want the jurors to see these sketches. They don't want the defense to be able to present these sketches at trial because they are not related to the identification of Richard Allen as a suspect, that they were simply an investigative tool, and that they are not relevant at this point. And so
the court, the judge or the court is saying that these two sketches that the police made of the suspects that did what they did to poor Abby and poor Libby are not relevant to the case. They don't want them admitted in court because it's not relevant to the case. Excuse me, what? I think it's very relevant to the case. This is insane to me. How can you say that the police sketches that the police put out are not relevant to the case? I think they're very relevant. Like, that's the whole case. What do you mean? Excuse me, what?
Investigative tool, and that they are not relevant at this point. And so potentially the defense was going to introduce those as a way of perhaps impeaching some of the witnesses. One of the witnesses we know who's going to testify was a woman who was walking the trails that day. She is believed to be the last person to have seen Abby and Libby alive before they encountered that man on the bridge. The timing works out where she was arriving.
Exactly, Solistic Glow. Exactly. Solistic Glow says that's BS. They don't want people to see that because it could be somebody else. Exactly. And how are you going to have a fair trial if you're not presenting all the evidence to the jury? You're not. You're going to convict a man and not even have all the evidence for the jury to see, so they make sure they have the right conviction. Like you're messing up your case already. If he really did it, then present all the evidence so that the jury can make a well-informed decision. But you're motioning to keep important and pertinent information hidden. Nobody can make an accurate decision with that without all the information. That's like trying to convict somebody of murder but saying, oh, the murder weapon is not important. What?
At the trails just minutes before Abby and Libby were dropped off, this woman claimed she walked out to the bridge, saw a man on the bridge that matched the description.
Yes, thank you, Flora. So, yeah, they were supposed to meet Keegan Kline that day, but Keegan Kline was using a chat of a guy, of some kind of model or something. It was a fake profile by the name of Anthony Schatz, if I remember correctly. And Keegan Kline was going to go meet them that day instead of Anthony Schatz, who they thought they were going to be meeting. And he's already been, I think he had been convicted before of having CSAM material. If not then he was afterwards.
Of the video that Libby had captured on her cell phone, and that as the woman was leaving the bridge and walking back towards her car, she passed two young girls who she believes were Abby and Libby. And so it's possible that those sketches were going to be used as a way of impeaching her testimony.
Right.
But again, the state is asking the judge to not allow that. Those motions are going to be heard on Thursday morning. The jury is going to return on Thursday. They'll be sworn in front of Richard Allen, and then they will be excused to be transported to their hotel, which will be near Delphi. There are no real hotels in Delphi or the immediate area. They're probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes away. They're not letting us know where they're going to be housed, obviously, for their safety and to protect their privacy. But those motions should be happening on Thursday morning. And then,
what a great thought, Flora. It very well could be. So there's a clip that the girls got on camera of a voice saying, guys, down the hill. And people think that the person saying it had a gun or something and made them walk down the hill. But Flora's saying that it might have been, guys, he's down the hill. Talking about like Keegan Kline or Anthony Schatz. So if it was two people, then the person on the bridge approached them and said, guys, he's down the hill. That's a good point.
And then on Friday morning, we are going to begin with opening statements in Carroll County, the county where this happened nearly 7 years ago. These girls went out for that walk, disappeared, and were found dead the following day. A lot of people are going to be watching this. The media and the people who are attending these days, this jury selection and the trial, we are trying to get as much information into our notebooks as we possibly can to bring that to you as accurately as we can. Because other than a transcript that might be available at the end of this trial, there will not be any audio recordings released. There will not be any pictures, any videos, any electronic transmission of this trial at all, Julia.
And that's weird to me because even like all the main cases are televised mostly. So why don't you want it televised unless you're trying to do some corrupt things? In my opinion, that's just my thought. Like what we're going to jump into next, the Leilani Simon trial, it's being televised because it was such a big case. Like, why not televise it if you're going to do everything correctly so that the public can see that everything was done correctly? Why would you not want that?
And Barbara, we're so fortunate that you are there. You're inside of the courtroom. You can share with us what you can about what's going on. But of course, there's a lot of disappointment to go around that a trial that's this big, that was so carefully followed, is not going to be able to be shown. I want to ask you about this jury's sequestration, because I got to tell you, I was surprised when I heard that this was happening for this case. Not that it's not a high profile one, but really a lot of attorneys lean away from asking for sequestration, especially in a trial that's as long as this one. What can you tell us about the backstory of why they decided on this?
I think it was because there was an effort to change the venue in this case. Delphi is a very small community. Carroll County is a very small county, only about 20,000 people in the entire county. And so there was a motion made to change the venue. They decided instead to bring the jurors in from Allen County, which is why I'm here right now. Jury selection has been happening here the last 2 days.
I still don't think that's enough. Just like the sheriff and the judge trial, just bringing somebody in from a county over is not going to be enough to be sure that your jury pool is not tainted. I would suggest pulling people from another state. And again, it's going to have to be people that don't watch the news, that don't use the internet, and like YouTube true crime channels and things like that, because this was such a high profile case. They were looking for the person who did it for years. So this was everywhere, and just pulling somebody from a county over is not going to mean that your jury pool is not tainted. And the fact that there's been so many things that happened since Richard Allen's been in jail, I would suggest doing it in a whole nother state, because since he's been in prison or in jail, there was odinous correctional officers with odinous patches on their jackets, and he said they made him falsely confess. They were treating him horrible. All the things the judge has done. The judge would not demanded that people who wanted to be his lawyers were not allowed to be his lawyers anymore. And they wanted to represent him. But she was like, nope, you're not going to do it. Somebody else is going to do it. Somebody else who could possibly be paid by you to make sure a certain outcome happens. Is that what you mean? Like, there's so much in this case that's just fishy. AF.
But those jurors are going to be kept separate. They're going to be kept away from the internet, from publicity. Their identities will be protected as much as is possible while they are hearing this trial. Now, another thing, initially this trial was scheduled to begin on Monday, as it did, and continue through November 15th. That's 5 weeks. Laura. Today we heard from the prosecutor as well as the judge that we may be down to about 3 weeks for this trial. So potentially they're not going to be sequestered as long as we initially thought they were. But the trial, the judge did say, is still scheduled through November 15th, which is a Friday. So it could very well go that long.
Okay. For the jury's sake, I am happy to hear that, because that is a lot. Barbara McDonald, thank you so much for all of your reporting. We'll continue to check in with you throughout this trial. For now, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us, trial attorney, anchor and host of Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood, Kelly Hyman is with us. Also, we have trial attorney and former police lieutenant Rick King, and deputy public defender for Los Angeles County, Philip Dubé, is with us. Great to see.
So we'll see what these guys have to say, and then I will do my best to pull up where Leilani Simon's boyfriend, who was living in the house that at the time that Quentin Simon was murdered, we'll see what he said in court yesterday.
See you all on this Tuesday evening. Kelly, let me start with you. Big news on this strand of hair found in the hand of one of the victims that doesn't match Richard Allen's. I'm surprised that it hadn't gotten out before in terms of information that the defense has shared. But your thoughts on that news, especially as we're going into this trial?
Very strong evidence. Ultimately, the jury is going to make a determination of whether he's guilty or innocent, but that gives reasonable doubt. Now, it's important to remember that the prosecution has the burden to prove the case, but the fact that it was someone else's hair, and who was it and how did she get the hair, I definitely could see that playing a key part in this case.
I could too, and if they were honest about it and released those sketches and show that there's two completely different sketches of two completely different people, and you add that with the hair that was found in that poor baby's hand, that's definitely reasonable doubt and enough to acquit. And if they acquit, Richard Allen can sue for all of the torment that he's endured in jail and for being held. Well, I don't know if he could for being held because he hasn't been to trial yet and they had enough evidence to think he did it. So I don't know if he could sue, but it's possible. Maybe they're scared of that. I don't know. There's rumors that it goes all the way up to law enforcement, to judges, to people that run the city and town are involved in this murder case. Now, whether that's true, I don't know, but I think there's definitely enough here for reasonable doubt. And they can't say that you can't release that there was a hair found in her hand that didn't belong to her, because that's pertinent information. Like, you can't say that. They can't say that. So they had to let that out. But that's why they're trying to get rid of the sketches, because if you have that, like the hair found in her hand with the sketches, then that's definitely reasonable doubt and he'll be acquitted.
So, Rick King, we've got these confessions, alleged confessions that the prosecution said these jurors are going to hear. So it sounds like they probably have some type of audio recording rather than just the words of some of these officials there inside of the jail. But this mixture with elements of his grandchildren that he doesn't have, family being killed, your thoughts on how the defense can use that to perhaps try and protect?
There's the link. You don't have to come up right now if you don't want to, but if you want to come up for that, you can come up. I would love to have you up here and have your thoughts, opinions, and speculations heard, just like mine.
Richard Allen.
I mean, I think it's obvious, and from some of the information that I've learned, that they've gotten these from, some of them are phone recordings between Richard and his wife, that they've recorded him allegedly confessing to her. Now, if those confessions are mixed with some hallucination type information that he's provided, I mean, the defense is going to be.
Thank you, Jenny, for that. Jenny Jen's on top of it. I love my mod. She says, I think he can sue for false incarceration, and he probably could. Again, he's talking about right now all of the false confessions he's given, and I wonder if they were coerced from him. I wonder if he's doing that to try to plead insanity. And I mean, at this point, I don't know how he couldn't be some kind of mentally disturbed with all the shit he's been going through and knowing that he's not going to get a fair trial.
Be able to talk about how he was really incompetent at the time he's making these, are under the influence of whatever psychotic episode he may have been going through. But just looking at him now and looking how he looked then,
yes,
you can tell that there's,
yes, ma'am.
I mean, there's always going to be a certain amount of stress on when you're incarcerated that way. So I anticipate that they'll use that to say that, hey, those confessions are nothing but the ramblings of someone who was under the pressure of being incarcerated for all this time.
Yeah, they've got a number of them. So I wonder if that mixture is in all of them. But Philip Dubé, it's the jury that's going to have to make that determination. And we've got a sequestered jury. You've got this gathering of a jury in one county. They're going to hear the case in another county. My question is, I understand perhaps why they need to have them in a hotel, provide them with food, transport them, all of that, because they're in a different county. But did they have to go so far as to cut them off from perhaps their family, all internet and everything while they're in this trial?
Did they have to? No. But if you're going to go the distance of drawing a jury from out of county to avoid pretrial publicity so that the rights of Mr. Allen are not prejudiced in any way by all the hoopla, if you will, from the trial itself and the pretrial proceedings, then why not go the extra mile and sequester everybody so you cannot cry foul later on appeal should he be convicted?
And that's true if you're trying to dot all your I's and cross all your T's for this case. But at the same time, it can all be thrown out or appealed later because they're not submitting all the evidence.
It's the best way to go about it. I mean, they're spending the money anyway. They've drawn a jury pool from out of county. What's the point of drawing them from out of county, schlepping them into another county, only to pollute them with all the media?
I thought it was him too. He looks like the person in the video. He looked like the first sketch. I really thought it was him too. But then that stuff came out, the odinous stuff with the correction officers. And then the judge straight up told the lawyers that were trying to represent him for free that they weren't allowed to represent him. That was what sealed it for me. I was like, oh, there's no way. There's no way. That's my feelings on this. A lot of people think he is guilty.
Media attention, all the news reports, all the social media, bloggers type commenting on the internet, if they're not insulated from that sufficiently. So I think by holding them up in a hotel, cutting them off from all internet access, cellular phones, publications is a surefire way to make sure that they remain impartial and neutral.
And they are headed to their hotel so that they can start hearing those opening statements.
Yeah.
In this case, we are going to have the latest here on Court TV.
You heard Mark Robinson saying that he banned abortions as governor.
So with that, I'm going to go ahead and look up.
Wayne.
Sorry about that.
This is the town of Whitesburg in Letcher County, Kentucky. It's a place where folks get to know each other because there just aren't a ton of people living.
Hold on just a minute. All right, so I'm going to pull up where, I think his name is Blake. So let me think. Quint. Okay. I'm going to try to pull this up where the ex-boyfriend testifies. It looks like it's an hour and 27 minutes. This is exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
I'm Brian.
WJCL News is who we're going to watch. And if you guys would like, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. That stuff is hard to watch right there. I'm sorry. So this is WJCL News. If you guys haven't, give them a like and subscribe. Use them to watch Leilani's ex-boyfriend and the father of what I believe to be 2 of her children. I believe he's the father for 2 of them, the oldest one and the youngest one. We're going to watch him testify and talk about that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Bella says it's an odd case, but many men his age look like him, wear clothes like him. I wonder if Ellie tried to figure out the height of the bridge guy. Alan is so small. Yeah, that's very true, Bellis. Flora says, what's also odd is he's been there working at CBS the whole time. Nobody in a small town recognized him. That's true. And the family said that they had taken photos to that CVS pharmacy to be printed out of Abby and Libby. And he worked at the photo shop and actually printed out photos of Abby and Libby for them. And they didn't know. Solistic Glow says they don't want to deny that they got their man because that would mean the man is still free that did it, and they're trying to convince the court of public opinion. Very, very true. Yep, exactly. I agree, Solistic Glow. And Flora says right across from the police station. Right, exactly. Oh, hi, Trixie. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Very good. I took some notes on Daniel's testimony.
Oh, thank you. I called him Blake. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, I would love to hear your notes. So I'm going to play it and you just tell me to pause it when you've got something to say, if I haven't already paused it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for coming up here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. So
Raise your right hand.
the evidence you show. Trixie told us that his name is Daniel, not Blake. That was my bad. Thank you, Trixie.
The court and jury in the trial of this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Step this way for me, please.
All right, good afternoon.
Hi.
Mr. Dean.
Good afternoon. Please introduce.
This reminds me of Daniel in the lion's den. That's what just come across my mind just now.
Introduce yourself to the jury.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Youngkin.
And do you go by Danny typically?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it all right if I call you Danny?
By all means.
Where do you currently live, Danny? Not the street address, but city and state.
Orlando, Florida,
And how long have you lived there?
since April of last year.
Where are you from originally?
Like, where was I born? Or
Yeah.
I was born in Germany.
And where did you have a parent in the military or something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who was that?
My biological father.
Where did you grow up?
Essentially Dunn, North Carolina.
Dunn, North Carolina?
For the main part.
For the court reporter, is that D-U-N-N?
Yes, sir.
I grew up about 30 minutes from there. I lived about 30 minutes from Dunn, like until I became an adult.
I'd like to draw your attention to the defendant here. Do you know the defendant, Leilani Simon?
Yes, sir.
And how do you know her?
She's Sky's mother, my daughter.
Mother of your child.
Yeah.
When did you?
Okay, so that verified for me that she's only got one child by him. I thought the oldest one was by him too. So I'm glad that I can let you guys know that I was wrong about that, and I apologize, but it's just the youngest.
Yeah, because he'll later state that when
Sorry,
they
babe.
met. It's okay. He later states when they met, how they met, and how fast all this happened. With Kevin
Okay.
Scott.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe 2020 or something like that.
And how did you first meet?
She drove up to North Carolina from here to see me.
Had y'all had some contact, not in person, I guess, before that?
Yes, sir.
How did y'all first, so you're talking about the first in-person meeting, if I understand you correctly?
Yes, sir.
How did y'all know each other before that?
Some social media network, something like that, like Snapchat or something.
You're saying you had met online?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you remember about that?
Honestly, not much. Just speaking with her over social media and arranging a meeting.
Let's go back to that first time you met in person in North Carolina. Can you describe that for me?
Yeah, she drove up in her friend's car to see me in North Carolina, and I was at my job where I was currently working.
Where were you working at that point?
Love's Travel Stop off of Hodges Chapel Road in Dunn.
So this is just going to be the beginning, kind of setting up the scene and the backstory. So once we get through this and get into some interesting or important information, I'll talk more.
So you said she came to see you at work?
Yeah, I was trying to get off that day so we could hang out.
And did y'all end up hanging out that day?
Yeah, I think she stayed at night with me.
Okay. And was that a one-night stay at that time, or multiple nights, or what?
I believe at the time it was a one-night stay.
Okay. And after that, after staying with you for that one night, where did she go?
Back down here, I believe.
At some point, did she move up there and begin living with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did she have children at that point?
Yes, sir.
Did they come up and live with you as well?
No, sir.
What was your understanding of where they were at that time?
With her mother.
Okay. Now, where were y'all living when she moved up to North Carolina and started living with you?
In my parents' house.
Okay. And did she eventually get a job up there?
Yes, sir.
And where was that?
She had two separate jobs that she was working for at different time periods.
Okay. Can you tell us what they were?
One was at Love's Travel Stop on the gas station side, and the other one was Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue, where I used to be a manager at.
Okay. And I'm not sure I understood you. Was she working those jobs at
Separate times.
Separate times. What was the first one?
Love's Travel Stop.
Okay. And you mentioned that you worked.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Did you all work there at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all overlapped at Love's?
Yes, we worked sometimes, like occasionally work the same shift on different sides of the store. I was working at the Subway there, but normally it'd be different shifts.
It's not usually a good idea to work with your significant other at work, because if you don't ever get a break from each other, it can be hard. I'm just going to say that. Some people it can work for, a lot of people it don't.
Yeah, now here,
Hold on.
yeah.
Sorry, babe. Go ahead.
Here, realize what he's saying is that Leilani moved there with him, no children with her. So therefore, they are, at this time, they are in the custody of Billy Joe. She has custody of the boys. Leilani's there long enough to work 2 jobs. So Billy Joe had custody of them for a while, when people are trying to go around saying right now that her custody didn't go through till after Quentin passed. And that's not true.
Wow, I didn't even pick up on that. Yeah, you're right, because I didn't know that. I didn't pick up that she moved there without the kids. I thought that she was just staying there and then came with the kids.
Nope,
I
the
didn't
kids
pick that
were
up.
with Billy Joe. Yep.
Wow, okay, because I do know that Billy Joe had custody through CPS. I know that that was before Quentin passed, because she wasn't even
Yep.
supposed to be in the house.
Exactly.
But I didn't know.
Yeah, but now with this going, there's certain channels, I'll never say who, but they're saying that, no, I have the papers. Billy Joe didn't get custody till after. And on another channel that I've been going to for 2 years, she even proved that that's a lie by going back to when all this happened, when she did a live. And then on the 12th, there was a redacted custody thing, taking the kids away from Billy Joe because of what happened with Quentin.
Right, that makes sense. And yeah, like custody paperwork, I mean, I don't know. If it's custody through CPS, I would think you couldn't get that. If it's a court document for custody, yeah, you might be able to get that. But I don't know who these people are.
It was leaked. It was leaked out.
That's not good.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Wow. Good morning, Cozy. Good to see you. Yeah, thank you for that, because I didn't even make that connection. I appreciate that.
No problem.
How long did that go on?
I don't want to make I don't remember, to be 100% honest.
Okay. At some point, did the two of y'all move down here to Savannah?
Yes, sir.
And where did y'all move into?
The house on Buckhalter Road.
Did y'all ever live in any other residence in Savannah, or was that the first place y'all moved back to?
No, that was it.
Okay. Who was living there at the time?
Her brother Joe was living there, and Thomas and Billy were there, living there, but they weren't there. They were working a lot, so they were on the road.
Okay.
I do remember that Billy Joe drove trucks with her husband. So yeah, she wasn't there a lot.
Right. So then therefore, her getting custody and she's like never home. I mean, these kids were left to be babysat constant.
Yep. Because if you're driving trucks, you're going to be on the road for days at a time, especially long haul truck drivers.
Cozy, the guy on the stand is Daniel Youngkin, who is Leilani Simon's youngest child's dad.
And he was there. Well, he was at work the day that she murdered Quentin Simon. He's not Quentin's father, no. He's the father of the youngest little girl, Skylar.
At some point, did Joe move out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at some point, did Paul move in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Defendant's brother, Paul Simon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When or where were you all living at the time that the defendant gave birth to your child, Scott?
Buckhalter.
Okay, so you all were living.
Trixie, I did want to let you know you do cut out a little bit. Like if you're using headphones, that might solve the problem, but it's
That's
not
weird.
enough
I'm
to bother
not.
me. Okay.
Huh.
It's not enough to bother me, so.
Let me switch rooms because down here it's crazy.
Okay.
Were living in Savannah at that time.
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about the birth of Scott?
It was fast and enlightening for me, I guess.
Before Scott was born, and you were living in Savannah at the Buckhalter house, were Zane and Quentin living there as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I was muted, sorry. Abellis, his name is Daniel Youngkin. Hi, Overprotected. Good to see you. Good to see you. So he states that that the boys were there when they lived in Georgia, but again, like Trixie just said, they weren't there when they were living in North Carolina because Billy Joe had custody through CPS.
Was that the first time that you met Zane and Quentin when you moved down here with the defendant, or had you already met him during the time?
I had met Quentin before.
So let's go to the time period where you're living in Savannah in the Buckhalter house with the defendant and the three children, Zane, Quentin, and newborn Sky. What was your relationship like with her two older children, Zane and Quentin?
Good. Well, I loved them like they were my own.
What do you remember about Zane?
Lots of energy, and liked to play a lot, and had a lot to say. Didn't really know how to say a whole lot, but had a lot to say.
What do you remember about Quentin?
I love how his eyes are smiling and he smiles when he talks about Zane. And we remember from hearing what we heard from the blonde-headed detective lady that Zane was trying to show her how fast he could run. My bonus son used to do that all the time. He used to tell me to watch how fast he could run. It's adorable when they do that. And I'm glad that when he thinks about them, he smiles. It means that it's showing me that he really did care for them. And I appreciate that.
Pretty much the same thing, honestly. And he was a lot more, he was more chill, I guess, than Zane. Zane was more high energy, but Quentin always had a lot he wanted to say and play with his brother a lot.
I see it. As I've asked you these questions about the children, I noticed that you seem to be smiling a bit. Do you remember them fondly?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you about work in Savannah. When you first got down here, about how long did it take before you got a job?
I actually transferred from the Love's Travel Stop in North Carolina to the one off of Dean Forest Road and worked at the Hardee's there.
And was the defendant working anywhere in Savannah at that point?
Yeah, I think she was working at this gas station off of 204, I think.
Now, moving forward to the time frame of Quentin's disappearance, okay? And I want to ask you about October 2022. Do you remember the day of the 911 call and all that?
So I said some things about him. I've never seen it. This is my first time ever even hearing him speak, really. But maybe I shouldn't have. But I questioned how it happened that night, and he didn't know anything. I still have questions about that because I don't understand how something like that can happen and nobody in the house heard anything.
That'll be kind of shown later because he admits he was, he drank every day.
Okay.
And, you know, he had to be up at 5 something in the morning, and he did
Yeah.
wake up with her one time when she got up, and then I guess supposedly he was out cold when she left. You know, the whole
Okay.
ordeal thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he maybe he has grown up since all this happened, that this really did him in.
Yeah. That's sad. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I could see if you're getting like blackout drunk every night that yeah, you could probably sleep through it.
Yeah, I do, but vaguely, but yeah.
In that general time frame, where were you working?
I was working at a warehouse for a company named Eclipse.
And where was that warehouse located?
What's that? Port Town? I forgot the name of the town.
Is it Port Wentworth?
Yeah, I didn't want to sound crazy by saying, yeah, that's what I think so.
And was the defendant working there as well?
Yes, sir.
What shift did you all work during that time period? What were your hours?
First, worked from like 6 or 6:30 to like 3 or something like that.
And what about Paul? Was he working there as well?
Yes, sir. He was working the second shift.
And do you remember roughly what his hours were?
Yeah, I actually think we worked till like 2. I'm not 100%, but his were like 2 to 10 or something like that.
Okay. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. roughly.
Yes, sir.
Would Paul probably be a better person to ask about that?
Probably.
October 4th, specifically, the day before the 911 call. Okay, I want to ask you about that day specifically. Did you go to work that day?
The day before?
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
No, maybe. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember. I know I took her to get her tooth pulled that morning.
The morning before the 911 call?
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying you don't remember whether you were before that?
I don't remember 100%. I'm not gonna.
That's fine. What do you remember about the defendant taking the defendant to get her tooth pulled?
Early that. Oh yeah, I think we were at work that day, and we left because her tooth was hurting, and then I took her.
So I want to point out about character analysis I don't want to like rewind it too much, but when he's thinking about it, he's looking down, and then when he remembers, he jumps up suddenly. It's like, oh yeah, that's genuine. That's a genuine reaction to me. We're gonna watch that again real quick.
What do you remember about the defendant taking the defendant to get her tooth pulled?
He's looking down to remember.
Oh yeah, I think we were at work that day. And then he
jumped up and was like, oh yeah, his eyes got bigger, his voice got raised. That's all signs of him telling the truth to me, like he just remembered something. I just wanted to point that out for y'all.
And we left because her tooth was hurting, and then I took her to the dentist, and she got her tooth pulled that day, and yeah, that was pretty much that.
What car were you driving?
The Dodge Journey.
Trixie, you have a YouTube channel, right?
I do. A lot of my stuff is hidden right now, but I just do crafts.
Yeah, I do
crafts
too. I like a lot of crafts. I don't put it on YouTube, but yeah, so I know Cozy and Trixie and Overprotected all have YouTube channels if you guys want to go give them a follow.
Yeah, I just stopped for a while, and then I was going to start picking it back up again last month, but then after hearing how StreamYard's not going to be free, and with how I'm like, I'm not going to pay for something that I might go, use once a week.
Yeah.
So I got to look into something different.
There's some other streaming platforms out there that I think are free, but I'm not sure.
If they're not as easy as StreamYard, I don't know.
Yeah, you could just go live on YouTube. That's an option.
Yeah, I gotta figure all that out again because I forgot so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just wanted to put you out there if you had one.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
And do you remember where the dentist was that you went to or what it was called?
I do not. I barely remember the Savannah area.
Did you stay there with her while she had her dental work done?
In the general
Okay,
area.
Cozy, I'll see you.
I wasn't allowed to be back there.
Okay, what do you
Good
mean
to
on
see
the
you.
general
Thank you for stopping by.
I went to the liquor store while she was getting her tooth pulled.
And did you end up driving her home?
Yes.
So after you went to the liquor store, did you come back to the dentist office that she was at?
Yes, sir.
I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about this. At that point in time, were you a bit of a drinker?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, please?
I liked Fireball.
Were you drinking every day at that point in time?
Unfortunately.
What about now?
No.
So you're at the dentist office. Did she get her tooth pulled?
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point, did you?
So that tells me he was self-medicating to deal with everything that was going on in the house. Yep.
Oh yeah. Cozy, it's my name that's in chat. Trixie's Creations for you. The number 4 and then the letter U.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Anytime.
Did y'all leave?
I don't like Fireball.
Where did you go?
I don't like alcohol.
To get some food.
Do you remember where you went?
I believe it was Cheddar's or something. She wanted some soup.
Okay. And did y'all go anywhere after that?
I think back to the house. Or maybe we went to 204 or we went back to the house. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Where were the kids at the time you got back to the house?
With the babysitter, Michelle.
And is that where they had been all day?
Yes, sir.
From before y'all went?
Yeah. That's why they were at Michelle's, because we wouldn't work.
Okay. Tell us about the process of getting the kids ready and dropping them off at Michelle's in the morning. How would that go?
Normally, I would get them ready and drop them off myself while she slept.
What do you mean? I thought y'all worked the same shift.
We did, but she tended to sleep in as late as possible. And I would normally get the kids ready and drop them off over there and then come back and get her.
Did you, when you would take them to the babysitter, I understand she lived pretty close to y'all's house.
Across the street.
Would you walk them over there or not?
No.
So my thought process on that is her motherly instincts. Again, like you're not getting up and getting your kids ready. The man is having to do it because you want to sleep. It shows a level of immaturity to me. And your motherly instincts are not there, in my opinion. Just speculation.
No, I'd drive them. That would be a little rough to try and carry Sky and walk the other two little ones across the street at the same time.
I see. So the morning before the 911 call, the day of the trip to the dentist, had you done that in the morning?
Drove them over, yes.
Yeah, okay. And let's go back to Cheddar's. You left the dentist, you've gone to Cheddar's to get some soup for the defendant.
I believe it was close by, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure.
And after Cheddar's, you said you came home, right?
Yeah.
What happened after you got home? What did the rest of the day look like as far as you remember?
That's cool.
To be honest, I really don't. Other than I know she went to sleep, and I tried to clean up a little bit and stuff before I went and picked up the kids, and then picked up the kids and came back and kind of just followed suit.
They do.
And do you remember when?
Can you stop for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Not the exact time, no.
Okay.
Okay. So there's been I'm listening to this. And it's been said, that Billy Joe paid the babysitter to keep the kids. She paid the babysitter to keep the kids because the kids could not be alone, with Leilani.
Right.
What did he just say? He went to pick up, he had to go, he went and picked up the kids.
Yeah.
If that was the case, he wouldn't be picking up the kids.
Because they were supposed to be at the babysitter's house?
They were supposed to stay with the baby. Suppose that's what's being said out
Right.
on the YouTube streets.
Okay.
To make it look like the babysitter is also in the wrong because she didn't keep the kids at her house. But there'll be more things coming up that it's just like, whoa, okay.
Well, no, so if she's paid by Billy Joe to keep the kids overnight or for however long, and then the mom and the boyfriend come to pick the kids up, I mean, what are you going to do? Say no? Like, you can't really, I mean.
No. Well, later on, he testifies that, okay, so if Diana, aka Michelle, because she goes by both names, is being paid by Billy Joe to keep the children because they're in Billy Joe's custody,
right?
Then why is she, just before Quentin passed, is the babysitter messaging him, telling him that now since Sky has reached however many months old, they need to start paying also for Sky. They need to start paying also for Sky, which will be $200 a week. And he says that's basically, he's saying that's a lot coming out of their pocket.
Right.
So why would she be messaging him and not Billy Joe?
Yeah.
Who is supposed to be the one supposedly paying?
Right.
Like, this testimony totally contradicts everything else that's been said before.
Yeah. That is. Yeah.
And it's saying, he's the one who takes the kids over there with the items they need. He drives them because it's too hard for him with 3 kids, to walk over there. Okay, so if that's it's like the contradictions in this, it's like, no, if she's supposed to have the kids according to Billy Joe, what Billy Joe's been saying constantly while she's out of town, then why would he have to be taking the kids there?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's all gonna, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. She's trying to not get in trouble. Billy Joe. Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's interesting.
But I know the general time was around like 4:30 or 5 is when I was supposed to.
I'm Brian Kahn, and I'm running for State House.
Yeah, so I think from what you just said, and I'm sorry I didn't pick up on it. I was looking at Basil, but yeah, that makes me think that Billy Joe is saying that stuff so she can try to keep custody through CPS, even though she wasn't following the correct guidelines. She was saying she was paying the babysitter and they were supposed to be with the babysitter, even though they were with Leilani and the boyfriend was possibly paying her. And Billy Joe probably told them at some point, y'all are going to have to pay for her to babysit the kids because I'm not paying for it, or something to that effect would be my speculation.
Right. Flora, yeah, she did have official guardianship over Zane and Quentin. Not Sky, but Zane and Quentin.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. because I didn't even
Yeah.
catch. Okay, I'm gonna unmute and play.
I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 85. Your Honor. Take a look at that. Do you recognize the document that I just handed you?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Text messages between me and Michelle, the babysitter.
Did you text Michelle about picking the children up that day, October 4th?
Yes.
All right. Does this document that I've given you
Yes,
fairly
Abella's
represent
chewing on
the text
everything.
messages with Michelle during this time frame?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd offer this in as State's Exhibit 85.
Mr. Hilliard,
No objection, Your Honor.
United States 85 is admitted.
Can you look at that and tell me when you texted Michelle about when you were going to pick the children up on October 4th?
At 2:32 p.m., I texted her and said, "We just got home. She got her Leilani got her top wisdom tooth removed, top left wisdom tooth removed. I'm gonna try and clean for a few while she naps. She's still loopy from the meds. Is 4:30 still okay?"
And what did Michelle say?
Okay, 4:30.
And did you end up picking up the children around that time?
Around that general time, yeah. But I think it might have been 5 o'clock or something like that, but general time frame, yes.
And did you bring them home?
Yes.
So now we're in kind of the late afternoon. And who's in the house?
Me, Leilani, and the Quentin, Sky, and Zane.
And was Paul at work during this time frame, as far as you know?
Yeah.
Did you make any trips away from the house to get a beer or go to Redbox or anything like that?
Probably.
Okay. And what do you remember about dinner that night?
Good morning, AJ. Welcome.
I think I might have remade some spaghetti, added another can of sauce and more meat and stuff like that to some spaghetti I made the day before or something like that.
Okay, overprotected. Have a good day.
Did the defendant participate in preparing dinner that day?
Abellis, I'm working on that.
Not from what I remember.
What was she doing?
To be honest, whatever she normally did, I kind of tried to not stress myself out too much about whatever she was doing.
Now, how was Quentin during the time frame that we're talking about? Dinner time?
Fine.
Time frame?
Perfectly fine.
Nothing out of the ordinary?
No, not at all.
After dinner, at some point did y'all get the kids ready for bed and put them down? Or one or both of you?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
What do you remember about that? Try to put yourself back in that house and tell me what you remember about the bedtime routine.
I'm not.
It seems to me like he was the one taking care of the kids and nobody else except the babysitter, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can see by those pictures, was it yesterday? With the Easter, the
I don't
pictures I
know.
saw.
It
They were
might have
doing
been. I
Easter
missed
egg hunt.
yesterday's.
Yeah, there was, I can't remember who showed pictures. Oh, actually, it was on another channel. Where they were doing Easter egg hunt, and she was pregnant with Sky at the time. The way he was with Quentin, he picked Quentin up, and he's carrying the bucket with Quentin, and you could see he cared. He cared.
Wow. I feel so bad for him. Yeah, his testimony's giving us good insight into the household and who was taking care of everything, in my opinion.
Yep.
I really don't, to be honest. I was not fully I probably just the normal, get them changed into their night clothes and make sure they're all cleaned up and fed, and Zane would have his little tablet and Quentin would have his tablet, and they just watch TV until they fell asleep.
Now, from this point forward, did you leave the house again that night at any point?
No.
And did the defendant?
Yes, sir.
What is the first trip that you remember her taking?
To 204.
Did the two of y'all talk about that? She say anything to you before she left?
Yeah, she told me she was doing that.
Do you remember what led up to her leaving? Anything about that?
No.
That's
not
fine.
really.
And what were you doing at the time that she left for 204?
Laying in bed.
What were the children doing?
Laying down as well.
Where were each of the three children in the house?
Good morning, Missy Q. That's a possibility. It is a possibility.
Zane was on his race car bed. Sky was on the couch, or in her swing, and Quentin was in his playpen.
At the time that the defendant left for 204, was Quentin okay?
Yeah.
Did anything at all out of the ordinary happen to that point?
No.
And what happened, what was going on while she was gone on that trip to 204?
I think I fell asleep.
Anything unusual happened with the children while she was gone?
No. Well, I was getting ready to fall asleep, and then Paul came home.
Oh, okay. Paul came home at some point while you were.
Yeah.
Well, if I understand it correctly, while the defendant was gone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about Paul coming home.
He came into the room and asked where Leilani was, and I told him where she was, and then he said okay, and then he went and got some food for himself from the fridge or the freezer, and just ate, I guess, and chilled.
When you say he came into the room, what do you mean? What room are we talking about?
The downstairs portion of the house where we were residing.
The bedroom that the
Yeah,
five of y'all lived in together, you, Leilani, and the three children?
Yeah, like 2 bedrooms, but yeah,
Where were you when Paul came into the room?
in the bed.
And where were the children?
On the other side of the room in their beds.
Were they okay at that point?
Yeah.
Do you remember Paul having any interaction with the three children when he came in?
Not 100%, no, but he might have said something to Zane. Might have said hey to Zane or something.
At some point, did Paul go upstairs? I think you mentioned something about him going to eat.
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about that?
I wasn't in there, so I don't really remember. I just know he was in the kitchen for a second, and I couldn't see what he was doing. So.
Did you see him again after that?
No, I don't think so.
At some point, did he go upstairs and confine himself to his room?
I would imagine so, since I stayed in the room in the bed, but yeah, I would say yes.
Now, do you remember the defendant getting home from the 204 trip?
No.
And why is that?
I was asleep.
What's the
Okay, sorry, I ran to get coffee. Paul is the brother of Leilani.
next memory you have of that night or morning?
Waking up and she was beside me, and that was that.
At the time that you went to sleep, was Quentin okay?
Yeah.
Had anything at all happened at that point?
Not to my knowledge.
And let's talk about the night. Do you remember seeing or hearing anything during the night?
No, I don't.
Do you remember waking up to anything unusual or anything like that?
No.
Had you had anything to drink that night?
I would imagine so.
Why do you say that?
because that was my daily routine.
What was your daily routine like in terms of drinking? I know you said earlier, I asked you to kind of talk about your drinking. You said you like Fireball, but a little more specifically, what would you drink on a daily basis?
Probably over the course of the day, probably like four or five shots of Fireball and like 3 or 4 25-ounce beers.
And how much of that was after work in the afternoon and evening?
A majority.
So let's go to you waking up. Did you wake up naturally, or did you wake up in response to an alarm, or what?
Yeah, I think my alarm on my phone went off.
And where did you have your phone that night?
Maybe it was under my pillow. I don't know.
Why would it have been under your pillow?
She had a tendency of
I was about to ask the same question.
going through my things.
What do you mean?
She would, without my knowledge, take my devices and go through them, and I felt it was invasive.
Can we stop that for a second?
Why was she doing
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Okay, so day before or yesterday, I'm not sure if it was day 2 or yesterday, day 3. It's when when Leilani was being questioned. She was talking about Daniel's phone, and she got a message from the Life 360 saying his phone needed to be charged. It was only at like 1%. So she said she went to get being so nice and all this, because he says he never does anything. She never does anything for him. She went to go get the charger. By the time she came back, his phone was gone, and she was wondering why. Why does he always have his phone on him? She can never see anything, all this. Prior to that, in the courtroom, they were showing text messages between Leilani and her drug dealer, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
She went to go see Craig the night that Quentin died, and also in the text message it was saying how, I'm not sure if it was that night or a previous night, about them having sex and him making her have an orgasm, and all this stuff in these text messages between her and Craig, the drug dealer.
So she's sleeping with Craig, or she's talking about her and Daniel's sex life?
Was sleeping with Craig, the drug dealer, because these were text messages between her and Craig.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Therefore, that's showing that she has this guiltiness in her head.
Yep.
She feels he's hiding something when she's the one who is actually doing it, because they actually showed this in the court, but then the judge called a 15-minute recess, was gone for a while. After 30 minutes, they finally came back, and the judge ruled and redacted the rest of the messages, deeming it inadmissible.
Wow.
But being that it was already put out there, you could see how she was the one sleeping around, and she was actually blaming him of sleeping around.
Right. Yeah, because I remember the other text messages that we did cover showed that she thought he was with other women.
Yep.
That's usually how that goes, by the way, everybody out there. If like your man's accusing you of cheating, he's usually the one cheating. Or your girl, she's usually the one cheating if she's accusing you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't even see that. I'll have to look for that. Maybe we can talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You're you got all the information. Thank you.
I've been taking notes.
Yeah.
She had this idea that I was wronging her.
How were things between the two of you at this time?
There wasn't much there.
I'm so sorry, Missy. I'm so sorry to hear that.
You think you had an alarm set and your phone might have been under your pillow? Is that kind of where we left off?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you get up, what do you do?
Normally try and be quiet so I don't wake any of the kids up. And I tried to wake her up, but she was, normally if I do that, I'd either get yelled at or something like that. So I said, hey, are you going to work today? She'd be like, no. And that's when I proceeded to text Michelle and say that she was going to watch the kids. As in this exhibit here, it says, hey, the kids are going to stay here with her today, Miss Michelle.
And what time was that text sent?
5:20 a.m.
A moment ago, you were talking about what would happen.
I don't blame him for that, because from what it sounds like, if he's the one paying for babysitting, even though Billy Joel's saying that she's supposed to be paying for it, I really think from what Trixie has told me and what we've seen here by him testifying, that he was paying for it. And yeah, I would do the same thing if, the relationship is already going like this and she seems to be just apathetic when it comes to the kids and you're staying home. I'm not going to pay for a babysitter. No, ma'am. You need to
Yep.
get up and be a mother.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's just my thoughts on that.
Happen in the morning when you get up for work and you try to wake her up, and you said she would be like,
Oh, yeah, she'd yell at me or, yeah, pretty much I'd get yelled at.
by the phrasing, she would be like yelling at you. Can I take from that this is something that this was not the first time this had happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us about that? There's a history of this?
It's a pretty general thing at that time.
Tell me what you mean.
I would try and wake her up to go to work, and she would either yell at me for waking her up or say she's not going in, and she would make up the time and go in with Paul on his shift. It'd be a rare occasion for me not to get yelled at or that to happen.
Why was it during that time frame that you were able to get up and go to work as scheduled, and she would have these difficulties with that? What was going on?
I'm sorry, could you?
Why was it that you were able to get up to go to work and she was having these difficulties getting up, going to work during this time period? What was going on?
I would go to sleep and she wouldn't be there. So I just was kind of making sure that I could get a paycheck at that point. So I just kind of let her be her own person, of course. Well, not let her, but she would do whatever she did, and I would make sure that the kids were taken care of and that I'd make it to work at least somewhat on time.
So there are times you go to sleep at night so that you're able to get up for work and she's not there.
There were times that yeah.
And would she talk to you about where she had been?
I never asked.
Now, let's go back to that text message to Michelle. Before you sent that text message to Michelle, had you been planning on taking the 3 children to Michelle's house that morning?
Yeah, the plan was because we missed the day before of work for her tooth removal. And we both were scheduled for the next day for a shift. The plan was to drop the kids off and go to work with her.
Were y'all salaried or hourly?
Hourly.
Okay. So if you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
It mattered.
Yeah. Were y'all saving up for anything in particular at this point in time?
I really felt that when he was just like, it mattered. Salary means that you get paid regardless. I don't like if you took a sick day, you would still get paid if she had sick days. You get paid, like your paycheck is the same every week, no matter how many hours you put in. And then hourly means that you get a certain amount every hour, like 16 an hour or something. And so yeah, he's saying it mattered if she went to work because she was going to lose a whole day's pay, or even if she took a sick day. Like for instance, my husband, he don't ever take sick days, but if he has a vacation day, he gets paid for 8 hours. Whereas if he actually goes to work, he gets paid for 10 hours. And then at the end of the week, that adds up to overtime. And they're working in a factory, which is kind of like the same thing. So like usually when you're overtime, you get like time and a half, which means what you get paid every hour plus half of that for every hour you work, if that makes sense. So I really felt that when he was like, yeah, it mattered.
So, yeah, a place.
Tell me about that.
What would you like to know about it?
Well, what were y'all trying to do?
Oh, get our own place and out of her mother's house.
And why was that?
There were some complications going on that we were told we had to leave, so we were.
I think Billy Joel would be a hard person to live with in any situation. Just my opinion.
Prepared for that.
And
Trying to.
Well, the day that we're talking about, October 5th, 2022, did you all at that time have the money to go into your own place?
No.
And were you trying to accumulate the money to do that?
Yes.
What type of place were y'all planning to get? Apartment, house? What are we talking
about? Really whatever we could afford.
And is that something that y'all have been talking about in the days leading up to October 5th?
Yeah.
How much did y'all have to pay the babysitter? Well, first let me ask you, did you pay her?
Yeah.
And do you remember how much? Per day or per week or what?
Yeah, it says here at the top of the exhibit where she sent me a text message saying, "Hey, I haven't been charging for Sky. I do this charge for newborns until they are 3 months. So I will have to start charging for Sky. So 45 a day is $225, but I'll charge y'all $200 for all three. That is still a good deal. Daycare would be way more."
And that was going to be $200 how often?
A week. Which is quite an expense.
So again, going back to what Trixie was saying and pointing out earlier that I had not seen yet, she's texting this to him, not Billy Joel. So therefore, he's the one paying for it, not Billy Joel.
Exactly. And he even stated he is the one paying.
Yep. Yeah.
So this totally wipes out everything that we've heard these past 2 years.
Yep. It sure does. Yeah, I don't know how you could get that Billy Joel was paying when we have the text messages and the testimony to prove that they were the ones paying. Exactly. Yep. And my thought on that would be she saying that she paid to, number one, try to keep the kids through CPS because supposedly she's supposed to be the one that's taking care of them and has custody of them. And number two, possibly just speculating to get people to feel sorry for her about the expense of childcare that she's having to pay when she wasn't even paying it. That's just my speculation.
And to basically kind of push her over to the side to be the more, well, I did everything I could to prevent, or, to make sure they were taken care of, when reality, it seems like once Leilani and Daniel came to the house, it was all pushed back onto them, but she still had custody. Therefore, it shouldn't have.
Right. Right. Yep. I agree 100%.
For 5 days a week. That's what it was added up to. So
what was the date of that text message where Michelle told you that she was about to have to start charging separately for Sky?
October 3rd.
And prior to that, had y'all only been paying for Zane and Quentin?
Yeah.
So it was about to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So when she wouldn't wake up on the morning of October 5th, were you frustrated by that?
at that point, I just kind of blocked everything out and just made sure I made it to work.
How did you get to work?
I drove the vehicle that her mother had bought for her,
Which vehicle was that?
the Dodge Journey.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary in the vehicle when you got in it?
No.
If there were fireball and curveball bottles in that vehicle at the time that police searched it, is it possible that those
I
are
think so, Flora.
attributable to you?
Yeah, quite likely.
Did you sometimes drink in the car?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would that be like while you were driving or when you were on break? Or
Unfortunately.
What do you remember about driving?
From what he's testified to so far, it sounds like, again, he's the one paying, he's the one taking care of the kids, and he's just at his wit's end with the whole situation, but doesn't want to leave the kids. That's just
exactly.
My speculation on that.
He's just holding on for them babies.
Yep.
Driving to work. Anything out of the ordinary?
No, nothing out of the ordinary. You're just trying to get there.
Getting out of the house that morning, when you left the house and got in the car, did you have any idea that Quentin was gone?
No.
Did you turn the lights on in that room before you left?
No, sir, I did not.
Why not?
I didn't want to wake any of them.
Did you believe that there were 3 sleeping children in that room when you woke up?
I did believe that.
Is it?
That makes sense too, because if you walk into, I used to check my kids to make sure, especially when they were babies, to make sure they were breathing, because I was so scared of SIDS. All of my kids that I've had over the years, like my bonus children, my biological children, all of that. And yeah, like you don't want to turn the light on because you don't want to wake them up. But I would go in there and look at them and make sure they were breathing and things. So, I mean, that makes sense to me that you would not turn the light on because you didn't want to wake them up.
Is it fair to say that you were kind of trying to sneak out without disturbing them?
Yeah, because if I wake them up, then it's a whole thing.
Did you look in Quentin's pack and play before you left?
No, I didn't.
You okay?
Yeah.
At some point during the investigation, was there a period of time where you told the police that you had seen him that morning?
Yes, sir.
Were you sure about that at the time you said it?
No.
And are you sure now that you didn't see him?
I didn't look.
I noticed that you seemed, I asked you if you looked, and it seemed like you got a little emotional in response to that question. What is it about that question in particular that makes you upset?
I wish I looked. No, I don't know if it would have made it. I don't. Just wish I looked.
Trigger warning. This is hard. I'm getting emotional.
Anything out of the ordinary from your perspective when you're leaving the house that morning?
No, sir.
Anything out of the ordinary in terms of the drive to work?
No, sir.
Anything out of the ordinary in terms of arriving at work?
No.
And when you left the house to go to work, which door did you go out of?
The back door by the pool.
Is that the one where you have to walk out through the bathroom?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Now, did you work a full shift that day?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I received a phone call from Leilani saying that Quentin was missing.
Where were you when you got that phone call?
In the back of a truck, loading it, because my job was to load 18-wheelers by hand.
So you're in a truck loading boxes and you get this call.
Yes, sir.
And what is your best recollection of what she said to you on that call?
Have you seen, or Quentin's not here? I'm pretty sure it just began with, where's Quentin? Where's my baby? Quentin's not here.
How long was that phone call, as far as you remember it?
From the time she called me to the time I got to Buckhalter.
And what were y'all talking about during that time period?
She was crying most of the time. I just stayed on the phone with her the whole time.
Did she tell you anything about what happened when she woke up?
The door was open or something, and Quentin wasn't in his playpen. And me trying to calm her down.
I know it is, Flora, and the fact that he has to live with that is hard. That's something that nobody should have to live with. And you know he thinks about it every day, and there's nothing anybody can say to make him think any different. And that's really sad.
Going back to when you got this call and you left work, tell me about leaving work. What do you remember about it?
I ran out of there as fast as I could, and I actually left my jacket and a whole pack of cigarettes, which later on my boss mailed it to me, thankfully, and it still has a pack of cigarettes in it.
What's his name?
Dave.
Did you see that?
That again is telling me how much he cared, because as soon as he got that call, he ran out so fast that he, like you said, he even left his cigarettes. For smokers, you usually ain't gonna leave your cigarettes.
Yeah, he didn't tell his supervisor when he left. He just went, straight out.
Yeah. Man, that again is telling me that he's the one who cared. I feel so bad for him.
Dave, that morning?
Yeah, I passed him in the parking lot. I didn't say anything, but he stopped me, and he said, "Hey, you can't run past security like that." And I explained what happened, and he said, "Okay," and I left.
Was this when you were on the way out to go home?
Yes, sir.
There was security at the exit to the warehouse?
Yeah, there's security there when you go in and when you leave.
Why is there security when you go out?
I think they just stay there all day for people who come in.
Okay. And you're supposed to get checked out.
It's hard not to
when
be,
you go
Flora.
out.
Well, you're supposed to talk with whoever your supervisor is, but I didn't even care to stop.
You just kind of blew by.
Yeah.
I'd like to approach with what I have marked as State's Exhibit 30.
Okay.
Do you recognize this disc?
Yes, sir.
What is on this disc?
Me going into work and me leaving work.
You're referring to video recordings?
Yes, sir.
Do the recordings on this disc fairly and accurately depict your arrival to work that morning and your departure?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer, yeah, it's fine. I would offer this as State's Exhibit 30. No objection.
All right, admitted without objection.
Flora, I was wondering the same thing. I could imagine that he does. I hope he does.
What does that mean? He's gonna play.
So I'm thinking they're going to play it, and it's going to show us exactly how
Or
fast
does
he
that
left.
mean you're about to play it? And I responded yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. Everything is being recorded. Everything that we say is taken down.
Before I play it, Matt, is there any particular reason you asked that question?
I didn't understand what you said. Well, you said you presented the. I just didn't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
No apology necessary.
Yes, Abella Skylar is his. I hope he has her.
Your Honor, I'm now going to publish from State's Exhibit 30 a file with the name IMG_0695.
All right, you may proceed.
Do you see yourself, before I play it here, and again,
Yeah.
I don't know why every video is sideways, but this one is. Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes, sir.
Where are you?
The bright orange.
What is that bright orange garment that you have on?
My North Face jacket.
Let me go back. Is the bright orange thing your North Face jacket, or is that a safety vest?
No, I believe that's my jacket. I believe that's my jacket.
Okay.
Because my jacket is bright orange.
Yeah, he's running.
So is that you getting to work?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything abnormal at that time?
No, just looks like I was trying to get there and not be late. I have a tendency to wait till the last second.
Flora, I noticed the same thing. She wasn't even emotional when they showed part of his skull. She just stared at it. No emotion whatsoever.
And I'll now play IMG_0697. And what do we see in that video?
Me running very, very quickly. Without my jacket.
What did you think at this point was going on?
I wasn't sure. I had just received a phone call and was still on the phone with her, so I was just trying to get back to the house as soon as possible.
At some point, did you get home?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And did you talk to the defendant once you got there?
Yes, sir.
What was going on when you arrived at the house?
She was outside on the back porch crying.
Were the police there yet?
No, sir.
What did you all talk about at that point?
I asked her what was going on, really, like details, and what she thought happened and stuff like that.
You said she was on the back patio crying, if I understood you correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where on the back patio was she?
Underneath the, like, where the, sitting in a chair right outside the back door.
Yeah, by that wooden bar
Yeah,
structure?
that used to be there, yeah.
She was sitting down
Yes, sir.
on the back patio,
Yes, sir.
crying.
Yes, sir.
There are woods all around that house, right?
Yes, sir.
When you got home, was she not looking for Quentin?
No, sir.
What was she doing in the chair other than crying, if anything?
Just crying, saying she didn't know where he was.
Had she called the police yet, to your knowledge?
No, sir.
At some point, were the police called?
Yes, sir.
And at some point, did Michelle come over there?
Yes, sir.
And her daughter, Talia, or one of her daughters?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how it was that Michelle knew to come over there?
Yes, sir. I called her.
When, in relation to your arriving home, did the police finally get called?
After I took a look around, I called Michelle and then called them. maybe. Yeah.
Is it fair to say it sounds like you don't necessarily remember who exactly called the police when?
Oh no, I remember I called the police, but I believe Michelle was the first person that was called to see if she had maybe gotten Quentin or something.
So that's the first red flag. You get there and she's not even looking, hasn't called the police.
Yep.
I
Just
mean,
sitting and crying.
yeah, that's ridiculous. There was red flags in the relationship beforehand, but I'm talking specifically about that day. You're just sitting there, haven't even called the police, haven't texted the babysitter. Yeah, none of that makes sense.
Yep.
Was Paul there when you got home?
I can't remember.
So let's talk about when the police get there. Okay, do you remember talking to some police officers in the driveway?
Yes, sir.
And the defendant was there, right?
Yes, sir.
Did she start talking about Quentin's father, Henry Bubba Moss Jr.?
Yes, sir.
Now, had she been talking to you about him before they arrived, or no?
She mentioned him.
When did she mention him? Was it when you were on the phone in the car, or after you had gotten home? Or
I believe it was when I got back to the house.
And what did she say about him that you remember?
That he had sent her a message saying that she didn't deserve to have Quentin.
Now, when was she saying that she had gotten those messages from him?
Maybe I think she said it was 2 weeks ago at that date.
Is this morning, the morning of Quentin being gone, was that the first you had heard of those messages?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so she's talking to you about something that supposedly happened a couple weeks ago. And you're saying she hadn't told you about that until this moment.
Correct.
Now, did you all talk during the time period between when you got home and when police arrived about what she had done during the night? Where if anywhere, she had gone?
No.
But there was some period of time between when you got home and when the police got there.
Yes, sir.
And then the police were there for quite a long time, right?
Till we went to the police station, and probably after that.
At some point, did you hear her tell a police officer that she had left the house sometime after 1 a.m. To get some Oragel from a friend at a Chevron?
Yeah, that's what she told the police officer. Yes, sir.
At the time she told that to the police officer, was that the first time you had heard that?
Yes, sir.
He's visibly
Prices are
angry
soaring, wages are stagnating
about that. And we saw the Oragel on the shelf in the pictures.
Yeah, he ends up stating there's 3 Oreos and an Ambisol at the house.
Yep.
Yeah, she tried blaming the bio dad from the get-go, saying that he must have came in and took him. But in one of her interviews with the police, she even states that she hadn't talked to him since the year before.
Wow. And then we saw where she tries to blame this guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Girl.
I'd like to show you a clip of body-worn camera footage that's been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 8, okay? Are you kind of oriented on what we're looking at here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
First of all, does this opening frame here depict the patio area where the defendant was sitting down at the time that you got home from work in the first place?
Is that where she was sitting when I got home?
Well, I mean, does anything in this image show where she was sitting down?
Yeah. The far left beside Paul, but Paul wasn't. I don't know where Paul was. She was sitting in the far left chair, the empty one.
And you're saying she was alone at that point?
Yes.
Okay. This is sometime later, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to play this for you now and ask you some questions about it.
Okay.
Have patience for sale. They just got here. Did y'all go anywhere last night or yesterday with baby? That maybe he could have followed you or something? Y'all didn't go anywhere? Not even with my kids, no. No, I mean, just maybe you yourself. Yeah, I know. Because I got my check full yesterday, so my 2 maybe I went to some Oregon. That was it. 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon? No, like morning. I couldn't go to sleep. Okay, so where'd you go? Right up the road, right here, got the Chevron. And I met my friend that I used to work with. She got ordered up because they didn't have any answer okay when I called. Okay. Did you go anywhere else that we maybe have been following? So when did you get home? I can tell you exactly the time on that.
I've stopped the playback at 12:13:19 on the timestamp. Could you hear as you were standing there? First of all, is that you in the orange reflective vest there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Could you hear what she was saying to this officer? I mean, obviously the body cam picked it up, but could you hear it standing there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How were you feeling? What were you thinking as you heard her say this?
When it played, he was covered up, but I can tell by the way he's standing, he's like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yes, he even, if you really focus in on his head, but it happens at the time when the officer who's wearing the body cam moves, he shakes his head.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's like, it's like, I didn't know this. What the hell,
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see by his stance, his arms are crossed, closing off. He's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck did you just say? Yep.
Yep.
Well, you can see me tilt my head to the side as if I had no knowledge of what she was referring to.
Yeah, did it, I mean, how did it strike you? How did this story strike you? What did you think?
What the hell? Sorry. Excuse my language. What the heck?
It's fine. You had no knowledge of this at the time.
Yes, sir.
You said that you tilted your head to the side when you first heard this story. Can you, I'm going to play it back, and I want to see if you can point out, first of all, show us what that looked like just from the stand.
Let's
Just
watch
like a tilt
him.
to the side, like what?
And if I play this back, can you point out to us where that happens in this video?
Yes, sir.
So let's watch him again. I'm glad they replayed it.
Have patience for sale. They just got here. Did y'all go anywhere last night or yesterday with baby? That maybe he could have followed you or something? Y'all didn't go anywhere? Not even with my kids, no. No, just maybe you yourself. Yeah, I know, because I got my check full yesterday, so my 2 maybe I went to some Oregon. That was it. 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon? No, like morning. I couldn't go to sleep. Okay, so where'd you go? Right up the road, right here, got Chevron. I met my friend that I used to work with. She got ordered up because they didn't have any answer okay when I called. Okay. Did you go anywhere else that we maybe have been following?
Yep.
I'm pausing it because I see you pointing at the screen. That's 12:13:15. We can kind of see your head tilt to the side a little bit.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to play that one more time from just a couple seconds back for anybody that might not have caught it. Because you would agree that it is subtle, right?
Yes, sir. And he was moving around, so you could you have to pay attention to see it.
Okay. Did you go anywhere else? Have you made that phone? So when did you get home?
Yep.
All right, so you had not seen that before, or you had not heard that before, I should say.
No, I haven't.
And you're
Flora, I believe that the pool was blamed, or either it was Bullhorn Betty saying, did the baby fall in the pool back when all that was going on? I remember the pool getting blamed at some point.
reaction was what the hell revised to what the heck. Right?
Yes, sir.
Just by the way, I don't support Bullhorn Betty. I'm just putting that out there. I don't agree with that woman. That woman is crazy. Okay.
Did you all go to the police station?
Yes, sir.
And did you cooperate with an interview or perhaps multiple interviews that day?
Quite a few.
Did the police ask you for consent to search your phone?
Yeah.
And did you agree to that?
By all means.
Did that concern you at all?
Not one bit.
After the police station that day, where did you go?
Back to Buckhalter.
And a few days later, did you come in to the FBI office in Savannah for a follow-up interview?
Yes, sir.
Now, between the first day's interviews and those follow-up interviews, had the FBI asked you to do anything in particular as it relates to the defendant?
Yes, sir.
And what was that? Let me ask you this. Did the FBI propose to you that they put you up in a hotel room and that they wire that hotel room up for audio and video?
Yes, sir.
And did they tell you why it was that they wanted to do that?
Yes, sir.
What was it? What was the reason for this?
To collect evidence against Leilani.
Did you?
They did that to Al Stout in the Gannon Stout trial with I can't remember her name, that crazy stepmom. And it gave us some good evidentiary value in that case.
Do you know at this point what had happened to Quentin?
No, sir. I had I just know what I was told.
And did you agree to this monitoring of the hotel room?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any concerns about doing it?
No, none at all.
Did you have any concerns about you yourself getting in trouble from something that might be said on that recording by one or the other of you?
Not at all. Wait, by me getting no.
Did you sign paperwork agreeing to this?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 31.
That's funny, Abellis.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Me initialing for permission for them to bug the hotel room, quote unquote.
And does that document have your signature on it?
Three places where I initialed.
And when does it reflect in terms of the date that you agreed to do this?
10/7/2022.
Now, did you all go through with this?
Yes, sir.
Now, before agreeing to this, let me ask you this. After the first day of interviews, you all leave, but before the follow-up interviews at the FBI office, did you talk to her about that night and what had happened?
I'm so sorry.
It was a long, kind of convoluted question. I'll try again. So y'all go in on October 5th, and you're interviewed by the police at the police department.
Correct.
At some point, y'all leave, right?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point, y'all are in a bugged hotel room.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Between those two things, between leaving the police station on day one and the hotel room operation, I'll call it, were you and the defendant together with each other?
Yes, sir.
Right. And were you talking to her at that point about like what had happened to Quentin and where she had been that night?
Yeah.
Did she ever? Did you ask her about this Oragel story that she had told the police on the scene?
No, not in detail.
Did you ask her about
That's
that
weird. I
during the
would have.
hotel room thing?
Yes, sir.
And did she repeat it to you?
Repeat denying it?
Well, keep saying that that's what she had been doing.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah. Yes, sir. I don't know where my head was at when I was saying that.
Ms. King, you might want to ask that again.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure that Ms. Young understood.
Were you skeptical of the Oragel story?
Yes, sir.
When you're in the hotel room with her, did you ask her about it?
Yes, sir.
And what did she say about it?
That's what she did.
That it was true?
Yes, sir. And she stuck to it. Sorry about that.
I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 32. Do you recognize this disc?
Yes, sir.
And what's on it?
Recording of the hotel.
All right.
The room that we were in.
Just a couple selections, right?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict some of your interactions in the hotel room with the defendant?
Quite well.
And I would offer this into evidence as State's Exhibit 32, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. Okay, Exhibit 32 is admitted without objection.
And I would introduce 31 at this point, Your Honor, to the consent form.
No objection to that as well. All right, very well, it is admitted.
And there are 5 files on this disk. The first 4 are each about a minute long, and then the last one is about 7 minutes long. I'll start with the first one. The file name beginning 1941.
So can I ask you a question? Do you mind? Are you gonna get mad? I'm asking you a question before I ask you this question. No, because I need to know. Are you gonna get angry? No, I can't tell you don't get angry, but I want questions. Why did you lie to me about the Oragel? I didn't. I did not lie to you about the Oragel. So you went and met Misty? Yes, and I drove in and I drove out. And they tried to say that again, and I asked them to show me a picture of this or whatever. Did y'all speak to my fucking lady? Did you speak to her? Did you speak to her husband? Is what I wanted to know.
So this gives me insight into their relationship, especially the, lying. Because we all know that bitch, yes, she did lie.
Oh, and she lied about the Oragel too. Yeah, she lied big time about this Oragel too.
Yep. Sure did.
Her husband. Why didn't you speak to her?
I want to stop.
So can I ask you a question? Do you mind? Are you gonna get mad? I'm asking you a question before I ask you this question. No, because I need to know. Are you gonna get angry? No, I can't tell you don't get angry, but I want questions. Why did you lie to me about the Oragel? I didn't. I did not lie to you about the Oragel. So you went and met Misty? Yes, and I drove in and I drove out. And they tried to say that again, and I asked you to show me a picture of Missy or whatever. Did y'all speak to my fucking lady? Did you speak to her? Did you speak to her husband? Is what I wanted to know. You know? And they said her husband. But
I paused it at 1942:17 on the timestamp. And the timestamp reflects that this was on October 8th of 2022, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you catch there what she said about what police told her about who they had interviewed?
She said they interviewed her husband.
She was saying police told her that they had only interviewed Misty's husband.
Well, yeah.
That's what she told you, at least.
Yes, sir.
And I'll pick up the playback again.
No, there is orgeal in it. There's orgeil in it. No, I did not like that. I didn't like you about that. So you went and got orgeil? I went and got orgeil. Pull it in and pull it out because I got you to do last night. And then they question you again about that? Yeah. That's the only thing else.
We heard you say there that there was orgeil in there. I'll give you that. What were you referring to?
There was orgeil behind the mirror in the house,
And
in the bathroom.
When did you see that orgeil?
The day, the 5th, I believe.
Okay, so like after, was it after you all had been at the police station?
Yeah, no, maybe. I'm not going to act like I remember 100%, but I know it was there. I think there was 2 tubes, like an empty tube and one that had some in it.
And where did you say it was?
Behind the mirror in the downstairs bathroom connected to the room.
The second file here with the file name starting with 2013. We'll publish that now.
So what did you do when you left? At 1 in the morning. What did you do? I went right up there. Right up to the stuff on. Got the word go. Looked around and said, well, it came home. That's what you did? Yes. You can look me in my eyes. I am looking you in your eyes, Danny. That is what I did. You can look me in my eyes. That is what I did. Just don't. You don't want to yell. Look at me in my eyes, too. That is what I did. There was nothing else that I did. I came home and I went to bed. And I woke up to my baby gone. Do you understand me?
We know that she's lying here. So this is giving us insight into her as a person and how she reacts, what she does when she's lying. She's getting loud, emotional, crying.
So you didn't do anything else? No, nothing else at all. I was gone for 12 minutes. And who did you meet? Missy. You met Missy? Yes.
There's a rhythm in the markets, and if you want to learn to listen for it.
Sorry, y'all. Yeah, so this has given us insight into a lot that I didn't know, but I could tell when she was lying before how she acted. She's easy to tell when she's
Now the
lying.
third file, starting with 2017.
That's like all family believes me more than my man does at this point. I just don't know everything. You do. Nobody knows everything. The only thing we don't know is what happened to Quinn. So what did happen in your car? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I have no idea what to fathom. I cannot make up something in my head about what could possibly happen. I have no idea what happened to that baby. I'm asking you, as a man to my woman, what do you think may have happened? Yeah.
And we ain't talking in a minute about what could have happened.
But we did. We spoke about it last night, and I have no idea what could have happened. I don't care about what could have happened. I want to know what happened.
So where's he at?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm not talking about shit.
No, you sat there and said, so where is he at? I'm getting picked up. I'm doing other thing I brought for you. No. If like the only person I'm sitting here wanting the love and support from that I thought would be on my side 100% is on the fucking FBI side.
And the fourth file, file name beginning 2025.
Well, go smoke your cigarette and I'll wait till you calm down a little bit.
I just wish I would have known to sit in the hospital so I'll be able to let our stuff in my life and you know, sit here and explain the only thing that you did not know that I did. And I explained it. Last night and tonight.
How you did what?
Went and got Orgel.
That I didn't know about.
That's the only thing you didn't know. That when I left you at 2:04, you were awake. When I got back, you were awake.
From 204?
Yes.
Okay. But not from here.
Not from that. I would choke you and said, I'm going to go get Orgel. You said, no. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm up. I came back.
Okay. And you remember that clearly?
I remember that clear as day. You made that little sound that I hate you fucking doing.
Okay. Okay.
Jeez. Oh my
The last
God.
file started 2029.
Sorry, love. What were you saying?
I said, she's so, I don't know how he dealt with her.
I don't either. I couldn't deal with it. I know that. That is too much. That is just too much. You would never be able to talk to her or get a point across or, just have a decent conversation. It's just, ugh. Yeah. I couldn't deal with that either. I commend him for dealing with that and all the other things he did, taking care of them youngins and everything.
Yeah. He became an immediate dad to a lot, That's a lot.
It is. Basil's chewing, sorry. All right, I'm going to play a video.
Instead of possibly saying that, what, because I just need support? That I'm asking for your love and support and not your questions and doubt?
I'm asking you questions so I can understand.
Well, how many times do you have to ask me the same question about the same time, just like the fucking FBI does?
Okay, so it's just like the FBI, but you don't talk to me.
Yes, I have. I just got here and explained to you.
You just talked
I told you about it yesterday, too, about what I did.
She's still not talking. She's screaming.
And you made me promise not to.
Okay, so you promised me with your pinky promise.
Yes.
That you went and got Orgel.
And I went and got Orgel from Missy. I pulled in the neighborhood and I turned around and I went home.
You didn't go nowhere else.
I didn't go anywhere else.
You didn't do anything.
Nothing at all. Nothing.
Okay. Let's smoke your cigarette. I love you.
I think what you're doing is you don't know that FBI in your head, and now they got you over here questioning me.
Even after all that, go smoke your cigarette. I love you.
Yep.
Patience.
Oh, he has a lot of patience.
Yeah. Whew.
No.
That's exactly what it is. Danny, this is one of the hardest times of my life, and I did not need you to question me. I need your love and affection and support, and somebody sitting there telling me that we're going to find him, that it's going to be okay, that they're going to do their job.
We're going to find him. We're going to find Clint. They are going to find Clint. They're going to find him.
I hope they do.
I do too. I really do.
And they told me that they still didn't have any leads.
They told you they didn't have none?
No.
Makes sense.
What did they tell you?
That they didn't have anything they could tell me.
I'm sorry to hear that, Eat.
And it's aggravating.
It's frustrating as hell.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You just sit there, let me question you, Leilani. Like, you have a good question twice as hard as I have.
Twice as hard? Nah, baby. I'm the only other person in that house that's involved. You don't think I got interrogated like a goddamn fucking. Bro, you know that.
Yep, sure does, Abellis.
Oh, it's funny because you think that I'm sitting here not in the same position as like you think that the shit is a game to me, but I don't. You. Woo, boy.
I'm sorry, Joy.
You gonna call somebody to pick you up? That's what you're doing? Alright. That's on you,
I
babe.
wanted to come in here and I wanted to lay
Well, I
down,
wanted you to
and
chill.
I wanted to be comforted. I wanted to be sat there and told that we're gonna do our best and that we're gonna do what we gotta do.
We are.
I did not want to sit here and be questioned the second time in a row by you about 1 o'clock.
It's the second night in a row, and it's not 1 o'clock. It's 8:30.
About 1 a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what Life 360 said.
It wasn't 1 a.m.
It was like 1:15.
And I got back at 1:25. I was gone for 12 minutes. It was
And then you went and met Misty.
Went and met Misty, got Orville.
And you said they told her?
I think so, yes.
What did she say?
And she confirmed it.
She confirmed
I'm
it?
pretty sure, yes. It's not like they sat there and told me what we said.
Oh, but they.
They said that they spoke to Misty and they didn't question me no more about the Orville.
Oh, okay. I did tell. I mean, because there was Orgel in that cabinet. But I'm not lying to you. So I need you to come back over here, like to me, like not right here physically, but I need you to come back over this way, okay? Because I did tell him there was Orgel in that cabinet. You know, there was 2 without a cap. There was 1 with a cap, from what my knowledge is. Like I know there was 3 things of Orgel in that cabinet. Okay, that's facts.
Yes.
And they didn't check behind that mirror.
I don't know.
They didn't. I know that. Okay? But it was there. And it is, if you didn't grab it, why didn't you grab it?
Because my mom wasn't hurting no more. I got the tooth in now. It's filled up. I can eat on this side now.
So after that night, you didn't eat it anymore?
No, not besides the
Why didn't you grab the Amazon?
Because when I was trying that, it wasn't working. It was making me gag.
With the Q-tip?
When I was trying to put it in right there, it was making me gag going down the back of my throat.
Okay. Alright, well, you take your second. I'll talk in a second.
Boy, she sure does got a story for everything.
Yep. And I love her sarcasm. Yep. Everything was all. Yep. You know, the way he's like, yeah, there was Ambisol there. Or Orgel there. Yep. There was Orgel there.
Yep.
You know, so that's in my opinion, sarcasm towards, yeah, we had Ambisol in the house.
Yep.
Or Orgel in the house. You know, not saying to her, yeah, well, yeah, looks like you went and got some, you know.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
No? I have no intention of that. I just need I'll just smoke a cigarette with you.
It is. I think. Oh, sorry. Eek. Yeah, Ambisol is like Orgel. I think Ambisol works better. You know what's crazy though? What I found that works the best is the baby Orgel. That's what works best for me, which is crazy, but
Yeah, Ambisol, Orgel. My mind's like, because I've seen pictures of the Ambisol, and
yeah, it was like a full bottle too. There's no way you would have needed to get Orgel in the middle of the night. Stop it.
Yep.
It don't matter. I mean, just give me a second. I'll meet you down there because I'm just.
I want to know what my baby is. And I want people like you and that guy to stop coming at me like I did something to my own child.
Why did I come at you like that to you? Because every time
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were talking to Trixie. Or joking around. Sorry about that.
It was when you went into other micro questions about it that it felt like you were an FBI agent sitting here trying to question you.
But you don't treat me like that when I ask any other question? You don't treat me like that when I talk to you any other way? Or
Yeah, I do.
You do treat me like that.
What do you mean?
You treat me like I'm accusing you of something.
No, I only do that when you sat there and you asked the first time. I said yes. I went missing. But you continuously asking is when I started getting aggravated.
This time.
Huh?
This time.
Yeah, I am last night when you continuously asked. This time. This time. They did exactly what they wanted to do. Tore us apart.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They already did. You didn't even admit it. They already tore us apart, and the way you're treating me proves it.
I could not be around this girl more than like 3 minutes. I could tell.
She didn't really like you asking about that Oragel trip, did she?
No, sir, she didn't.
Now, sometime after this, did you agree also to have your telephone communications monitored?
Yes, sir, I did.
And
Also in 31.
say again?
It's then. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. I thought it was on this document, a separate document. But yes, sir, I did agree to have my phone monitored.
I'd like to approach with what I marked at Stacy's in 33-year-old. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
My consent for them to monitor my telephone, my cell phone.
Was this is this a fair and accurate copy of that document?
Yes, sir.
Is it one of those forms or more than one?
There's multiple.
Why are there multiple?
There's a second one from a month later, because I guess they have to renew them, I guess.
Did you have any problem with agreeing to this?
No, not at all.
Why is that?
I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, they already knew about what I was doing drug-wise, so I had no issues with anything they wanted to find.
Your Honor, I would offer states 33 into evidence at this time.
Objection, Your Honor.
Right, the one on the front, is that the first one?
Thank you, Jenny.
Yes, sir.
And when does that show that that document was signed?
The 9th of October.
And then what about the second one?
The 8th of November.
Okay, so the first one's on the 9th, and then you renewed it again a month later?
Yes, sir. And I still, even past this, there was contact between me and them so they could monitor.
So it was more than just that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did they explain to you what of your phone communications were going to be monitored, whether it was just your
all of
contact with the defendant or all of them?
Well, it says the purpose of viewing, listening to, and or recording any activity I may have with Leilani.
Was your understanding though that they would be able to listen to all of your telephone calls with anybody and see all of your text messages with anybody?
Yeah.
And you were still willing to do this?
Absolutely.
This again is just showing how much of a good man he is.
I'm going to have to get off here because my guy is up and running around upstairs. So,
okay.
I'm going to check on him. Thank you so much for having me up.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And thank you for your help with helping me understand about the babysitter and stuff.
Yeah, there's so much more to it, but I didn't want to go into too much details with, because we're just going through this part of the court stuff.
Yeah. Email me if there's something else you want to talk about. If you want to come up and talk about another part of it, email me and let me know.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, and I knew you were just joking, honey.
Yeah, I didn't mean to highlight that. I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
Joking.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All
Yeah, I hope you have a good day and thank you for coming up.
right. You all have an amazing day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Now, we just watched these videos from the hotel and the timestamp.
There's only about 7 minutes left of this, so we'll watch the end of this, and then that'll probably be it for me today. I do appreciate everybody being here. I wanted to tell you thank you again. Thank you again, Trixie. And thank you guys for all your lovely comments.
The date stamp shows that those were on October 8th, right?
Yes, sir.
And we've talked about the consent form for monitoring your phone, and that was, the first one at least, was signed on October 9th, right?
Yes, sir.
Where were you when you signed the second one?
My mother's house in North Carolina.
When did you go to your mother's house in North Carolina?
I think I signed this first paper, and I think I left Georgia that day, if I'm not mistaken.
Why did you leave Georgia?
Actually, no, I didn't leave Georgia. I left Savannah. I went to Atlanta for a weekend
And why did you go to Atlanta?
to get away from Savannah,
And after Atlanta, where did you go?
to Dunn, North Carolina.
To your mother's house?
Yes, sir.
And was that, at that point, was that essentially the end of your time living in Savannah or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you a couple miscellaneous questions. Let me ask you this. Did things between you and the defendant kind of fall apart during this investigation?
There was already nothing there.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Do you remember ever seeing Quentin with any favorite toys or stuffed animals or anything like that?
No, not specifically.
Do you remember him having a favorite Mickey Mouse toy?
No, I don't.
If he had had a favorite Mickey Mouse toy, is that something that you think you would remember having lived with him during that time frame?
More than likely, yes.
And you have no recollection of that?
No, sir.
If he had had a Mickey Mouse toy that he slept with every night, would you think you would remember that?
Yes, sir, more than likely.
And do you remember anything like that?
No, sir.
Let me ask you about trash, okay? You lived in that house for some
I would think so, since he's the one putting them to bed every night.
months, if I understand correctly.
How? Yeah.
For a period of months, you lived there?
Yes.
We have seen introduced into evidence a picture of 3 trash cans on like a wooden rack in the carport area.
Yeah, I remember that. That rack.
Say again?
I remember the wooden rack where the trash cans were kept.
What did y'all do with garbage in that house, like kitchen garbage?
Took them to those 3 trash cans that were sitting on top of that rack.
And then what would you do with the trash cans?
They would get loaded up in the truck and dumped off in a larger dumpster to be taken away.
What dumpster would y'all use for that?
Azalea mobile home.
Now, what vehicle would you use to take those garbage cans to Azalea?
Thomas's white Silverado.
Is that something that you would do, or who would do that?
Yes, sir.
You know, you guys, I'm with you on that. She reminds me of someone too, but I can't think of who.
Would anybody?
I
else,
would.
Would anybody else do that?
Not normally, no.
Okay. Let me ask you this: did you guys ever drive around with garbage in the back of the Dodge Journey?
No.
Like just a trash bag with leftover food in the back of the Dodge Journey?
No.
Why not?
That would stink up the vehicle. It just sounds nasty.
At the time, October 4th, October 5th, was there any garbage in the back of the Dodge Journey?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you have any recollection of ever having a garbage bag in the back of the Dodge Journey? Like full of leftover food.
Oh, no.
The back of the Dodge Journey is upholstered, right? It had carpet.
Yes, sir. That's another reason.
Why would you?
So they know the answer. Like, it seems stupid that they would ask these questions, but they're doing it to point out these lies that she told to the jury, so the jury understands how much of a lie it is.
Not want to put a trash bag full of old food.
Could be, Flora.
Stain the carpet and seek in, and sounds nasty.
Do you have any recollection of having had any shrimp pasta in the household in the days leading up to Quentin's disappearance?
Possibly.
Anything more you remember about that?
No.
One moment, please.
Yes, Flora. Thank you. She's just doodling away. She might actually be writing notes. It looked like she was doodling.
No further questions.
Thank you. I ask counsel to approach.
They muted the sidebar or the talking. I don't know if it's a sidebar, but I want to let you know that that was them, not me. I wonder what they're listening to. Yeah, I was thinking that of Bella's looking at the reflection of her glasses, but I couldn't really see much. I want to know what they're listening to, dang it. That's still them. I don't want to, yeah, no doubt. I don't want to skip it because I don't want us to miss anything important. Looks like it's going to be the end of it. And this is all that video has for him. Yes, I did. I couldn't tell if it was Maddie or somebody else in the reflection of his glasses. I think this video is going to end with this. I'm not sure, but the defense hasn't questioned him yet. So if the defense questions him and I find out that there's more to this testimony, then we'll go over that tomorrow too.
Okay. So, Mr. Junkin, I'm going to ask you to step down. You can have a seat in the.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to have a seat. You can leave that right there.
Yeah, it could be. I couldn't tell. So this is going to be the end of his
ladies
testimony.
and gentlemen, we got started a little with the evidence itself a little bit later today, although we were working prior to that. I'm going to let y'all go for the evening, and we're going to start again in the morning.
Okay, so that was from yesterday. So there's probably more testimony from him that's out today. If you go back to the beginning of today, you can probably see more testimony from him. We will go over that tomorrow. And if there's anything else you guys want to talk about please let me know. I am going to check and see, because I had some FOIA requests that were supposed to be getting back to me. So I'll look at that stuff today and see about getting anything else out on a video. I do need to put out that video about the creeper guy from the Reddit post. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you all for commenting and sharing your speculations with our speculating family. Thank you. You're curious about Sarah? Okay, we can look into that. I'm sure they've got like a Court TV probably has a recap of the most important moments that's happened over the past couple of days. So I'll locate that today and we'll cover that tomorrow in the live. Jenny Jen, yes, we hope that everybody has a great day, and we will see all of our lovely family members tomorrow. If you guys got gifted a membership to Speculation Station, please make sure to thank Abellis, and I think it was Abellis. And I hope you guys have the best day ever. I will be back in the morning. I thought I wasn't going to be able to, but I got the stuff done yesterday that I needed to do, so I will be here tomorrow. And I will see you guys then. Until then, have the best day ever. And I will talk to y'all in the morning. Thank you again for being here. Good night and goodbye, all my lovely family members. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.